Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
While Aaron Rodgers sits on the beach, California, gazing out into the water, got a decision to make here, people. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Pearl, I'm not trying to force Aaron Rodgers' hand, but I think while he's staring out into the Pacific Ocean, probably the biggest question mark he is trying to answer, or the clarity he's trying to arrive at, is whether or not you actually say no to the Steelers, say no to the New York Giants, and start to explore this Minnesota Vikings option that's sort of always loomed, but now, according to Diana Rossini and some of the insiders, has become a lot more real.
Or retire.
But
because,
I don't think he's retiring.
Everything there has a downside. Obviously, the Vikings, he has this rookie in his second year player, J.J. McCarthy, sitting there that the franchise wants to play. So that's going to be awkward. And then Pittsburgh's, they have Arthur Smith as their offense coordinator. They're way too conservative. And the Giants have their 4-win team or 3-win team. They have no talent. So I would, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you got to at least think about, well, is it worth it to do 1 year, $12 million for any of these teams? It's got to be on his mind. Do you think that's a realistic option? I think he's in. I think he wants to play, but I don't think he loves these options.
Okay, I think there's two things that's keeping Rodgers in this. First and foremost, I don't think a guy who's won as much as he has, won Super Bowl, but has been, could retire and be on the Mount Rushmore of all-time quarterbacks in the NFL, and that doesn't sound weird. You could definitely make the case that he's an all-time great quarterback and is a 4-time MVP. I don't think he wants to leave the game with the New York Jets of all people saying, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. You made us worse. We didn't like you in the building. The Jets wouldn't know good culture if it came and smacked them in the face. This is one of the sorry franchises in the NFL. Sorry, EJ, but they are. And they're saying no thank you to Aaron Rodgers. I think, Rodgers talks about ego death all the time. And I know this because I listen to way too many of his interviews. But I think that ego blow is even too much for him. To go out on a sour note with the New York Jets saying, don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you is too much. I don't think he can do that. It's too humbling. So that's number one.
One thing about Rodgers, though, he would say, I had this great stats the last 4 games. He'd be lucky to go out with a game like he had. Remember he ended the season on a 10 touchdown run in the last 4 games. So there is.
But who's going to remember that? They're going to remember the Jets said goodbye.
Yeah,
to you.
but I mean, but almost every quarterback has a terrible last season. I mean, so he could go out worse. At least he went out throwing touchdowns. Peyton Manning went out handing the ball off. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
A little bit different because the last game for Manning was hoisting Lombardi. So I think Rodgers still has an idea, and I think all great players do, of I'll go out on top. I can still salvage this thing, and the last image of me is not, walking off the field with a bad Jets team. So that's number one. And number two, I think Rodgers gets a lot of his, I think there's a business of Aaron Rodgers that is still booming. He had the Netflix documentary. He clearly is setting himself up for life after. And I think him playing still gives him this cachet. And I just think there's still more to the business of Aaron Rodgers or whatever he's going to be next. And so I think for the winning part of it and the actual on the field part, and then I think for the business part, I think he wants to salvage this thing. So those are my two Aaron Rodgers. That's why I don't think he's retiring. But here's the thing about Minnesota. From the Minnesota point of view, which is obviously the most interesting of these places because they're the best roster, right? Coming off a 14-win season, you saw what Sam Darnold did. You get to throw to Justin Jefferson, Kevin O'Connell. I just think if you're Minnesota, if you are really serious about J.J. McCarthy, you're really going to bring Rodgers in? That's a lot. You can't get a more famous, backup competition, or J.J. McCarthy is going to have to sit for another year? Just tell me how that works in a locker room. Because here's the thing. You have guys in a locker room who are competing and trying to get new contracts. You have guys who are veterans. You guys who are trying to, provide for their families. They're not going to want a second-year guy over Aaron Rodgers. We've seen this before with locker rooms. It's going to be another year of no J.J. McCarthy.
In your scenario right there, Rodgers has to start to go to Minnesota, right?
I think he does. And then, so now no J.J. McCarthy. You're not going to play Rodgers 10 games and then bench him for McCarthy like some kind of,
you could do
understudy.
That, but definitely week one, Aaron Rodgers is your starter. So there's no locker room questions about that. Nobody, and if they sign Aaron Rodgers and he was a backup, that would just be too much comedy.
It's insane.
So I think they have to guarantee him a starting job. Maybe that's why it hasn't happened yet.
I just don't think that, here's the thing. If you actually are interested as the Vikings of developing McCarthy, and if his knee is fine, then I don't think you can have Rodgers anywhere near. I think you have to have like what they had with Sam Darnold last year, if they had Sam again, someone who, if he gets benched, I don't think the fan base of the locker room is really going to freak out.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but doesn't part of you want to see Rodgers there if you're a Minnesota fan? Just the upside on Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota is extremely high. We've actually seen it.
Yeah, definitely.
We've seen it because Brett Favre did the same thing and came to Minnesota indoors, threw 33 touchdowns, should have won MVP, got to the NFC title game. So, yeah, of course, if I'm a young Vikings fan, I'm all in on Aaron Rodgers. Why wouldn't you be? You have no idea what J.J. McCarthy's going to be.
Yeah, but, they used a high pick on him. Like, when is the future going to get started? I guess not.
Well, you have Jordan Love in Green Bay, who they waited on behind Aaron Rodgers, and that worked out fine. This locker room thing, everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers in the locker room. I understand what people are saying, but especially Pittsburgh and New York, these are desperate situations.
Yeah.
You are teams that are not winning. So what do you care if the locker room gets blown up? It's worth the risk. Minnesota, they're also not winning at a high level. They have not won a playoff game in this little Kevin O'Connell run. I think it's worth the risk. These are teams that are looking at taking a big risk.
Oh, I agree with you. When I say locker room, I'm not talking about Rodgers' weird conspiracy theories or the McAfee stuff. I mean, I know it got bad last year with the Jets, but I don't think I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the quarterback. Like, if it's Minnesota, I'm worried about the quarterback thing. If they're trying to thread this needle of, J.J. McCarthy is really the guy, but we're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, right. I just don't see how that works. If it's a locker room situation where Aaron is clearly the starter, he's the guy, right. Like it would be with the Giants and also with Pittsburgh, the players will overlook the, RFK stuff and the weird conspiracy theory stuff.
Right, but if, obviously Jordan Love sat behind Rodgers and it wasn't a problem. So why would J.J. McCarthy, what would be different?
I think it's a mixed message, right? I guess it depends if the team is actually interested in having J.J. McCarthy see the field this year. But right? Rodgers was winning MVPs. He's probably not going to play to that level to be able to hold off a rookie. I think it's got to be Rodgers has to say, you're playing me this season. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the Steelers. Right? So I would is it really going to be a mixed message or is it going to be a consistent message? Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback. And if it's not that, then why would Rodgers go there? Well, that's what I'm saying, because it's the better team.
But he can't be in a competition of 41. So everyone's got to, and I think they will. Do you honestly think Minnesota's going to say, all right, Aaron, come in and we'll see what happens? That doesn't seem likely to me. Rodgers can't do that. He can't say yes to that situation where it's up in the air.
Well, I mean, depends. Is there trust there? I mean, could a team say whatever? Hey, yeah, you're our starter. But then, if things are going a little dicey or you start off the year and say you're, 5-5 or something like that, do they all of a sudden go to McCarthy?
Well, I just think that's true. But I think the week one thing is important. Like Rodgers has to be the week one starter. And he's got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. If he is upright, he's going to throw for enough yards to keep that job.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine. But again, he needs a guarantee. So I'll bet you that's an interesting conversation. If you're in Minnesota, do you offer him the job and say it's yours?
I
would.
We are working at an information deficit here, not to sound nerdy about it, but we don't know what J.J. McCarthy's knee is like. And if they bring in Aaron Rodgers, I've got a bit of an inkling that it's not great.
I don't even care about J.J. McCarthy's leg. I'm doing a 1-year Minnesota Vikings turnaround thing because we've seen it. I've listed the guys again and again. You bring in an old quarterback into Minnesota, and they all of a sudden play like they're 25 and throw a million touchdowns. Sam Darnold just threw 35 touchdowns. You don't think he's good. We saw Warren Moon. We saw Jeff George. We saw Randall Cunningham at 37 come into Minnesota and have an MVP-like season. So Rodgers would be great there. I think they know that too. And they have how would they know what J.J. McCarthy's going to do in a season, even if they see him in the building? I like the Rodgers split, but they have to say it's your job. Otherwise, what is Rodgers doing? He can't be in a training camp competition. Aaron Rodgers? No.
It sounds a little crazy. 855-212-4227. Do you think at all the fact that we have already seen Rodgers go from Green Bay to the Jets and now potentially go to the Vikings exactly as Favre did? You've talked about it, Perloff. You called this like 2.5 years ago. I'll give you credit for it.
It's called fate.
You're like, Rodgers is going to be a Viking. You said it over and over again. I never believed you. Do you think there's a thought at all, like, from Rodgers' point of view, I can't do this. I can't actually fulfill the Favre prophecy?
No, I don't think so. Because he's done it so far. Why would he stop now? I mean, what's next? He's going to rip off a Mississippi charity? I think.
Oh, no.
No, it seems. No, I don't think he's thinking about that at all. Would you? Do you I know it's on our mind. Do you think that Rodgers thinks like that?
I think it would just be this weird coincidence. I think he would get past it. I don't think he sees himself as Brett. You know, they're such different people. And I think it would just be like a funny, quirky thing. I don't think it would prevent him from going to a much better team than the Steelers and the Giants.
One thing about Kevin O'Connell's coach of the Vikings, he's about Rodgers' age. I'm sure they've known each other probably coming up through the system when Kevin was in the NFL. I think that relationship is important, and I'll bet you Rodgers is talking to him saying, I know you have this rookie, but you got to promise me you are going to make me look good here, and you're going to start me. Don't you think that's the conversation going on? It's different than Daniel Jones, who they reportedly made an offer to. Daniel Jones may or may not have started, but Rodgers has to get guarantees. I think that's what's holding it up.
Interesting. Well, I mean, then if they're not going to say, all right, here's the red carpet, we're going to roll it out for you as a starter, Pittsburgh. Then, I mean, I guess I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of a professional athlete, not me, not somebody who's always trying to put someone's career into its legacy and its proper place. I'm just thinking as a professional athlete.
I like to eat animals.
I think that they love this competition a little bit. I think it revs them up a little. Like, look what happened when the Packers did draft Jordan Love. 2 more MVP seasons. And I'm not saying that Rodgers wouldn't have won them, but it definitely put a chip on his shoulder. So now you got the Jets situation that ended as a tire fire. And you'd have, hey, I don't know if I can guarantee you the job. I think the pro athlete and guys, this crazy competitive streak, he might say, I'll show you. Like, that might not be you and my mentality, but that's a professional athlete mentality.
Yeah. Yes, that is a professional athlete. I mean, come on. It's quarterback. There's only one on the field. You think Aaron Rodgers is going to say, I'll show you and I'll beat out J.J. McCarthy in camp, which he probably would? I don't know. He knows the deal. I think that's a stretch to say that he's going to follow Daniel Jones' footsteps. He can't take a risk. Can you picture sad Aaron Rodgers on the Vikings sideline? It's too much. It's way too much. That'd be a meme for life.
I would love it.
Where do you think he's going to sign?
I think Pittsburgh is still my number one choice. If I had to handicap it, I would say Pittsburgh the favorite, then the Vikings, then the Giants.
But Pittsburgh doesn't give them a better shot to win. The Vikings do.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, Pittsburgh gives them I would say that Pittsburgh gives them same shot as the Vikings. Pittsburgh was a playoff team. Vikings were a playoff team. What's the big difference?
One won 14 games, and the other one ended the season on a 5-game losing streak.
Right, but the Vikings got killed in the wild card game. The Steelers got killed in the wild card game. That is not I mean, when you're talking about the team that gives you a better chance to win, that just immediately knocks off the Giants because they haven't won at all. Yeah, that's interesting. I almost want to see a poll. Which gives Aaron Rodgers a better chance to win, Minnesota or Pittsburgh? Because what has Minnesota done in the last 10 years?
Well, they haven't. I think they also have to prove they're not just paper tigers here. And it's not just, we have a great regular season record. We can actually win a game in the postseason.
Well, I was actually looking at the play. I was trying to think of what NFC playoff team will fall off. That NFC North is brutal,
I
too.
know.
Because Chicago has spent a lot in free agency. They could be pretty good. The Lions are great. And the Packers could get healthy and they could be good. He might look at the division and, the AFC North is no picnic, but the Browns are falling apart. The Bengals are falling apart. So he's only got to deal with the Ravens. I think the Steelers give him a really good chance to win. Now, with a Super Bowl, I don't know. Isn't that why he would go to Pittsburgh? Not to throw touchdowns, it's to win football games.
855-212-4227. So here you go. Aaron Rodgers, of all three options, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, the Giants. I wonder what Minnesota's really saying to him. Are they saying, come on, bring Randall Cobb? No, I don't. They're not going to say that. But come on, like we'll do this and we'll give you the starting job. Or are they kind of going half in the pool, half out of the pool? Hey, we also, told ownership we should trade up for J.J. McCarthy, and now all of a sudden we need another quarterback to come in and save it, especially if his knee is actually healed. Doesn't that reflect poorly on the coaching staff to say, all right, now we have no faith in the guy we just took top 10?
Well, I mean, they traded one pickup, right?
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I hear you. I think it's a bold decision to say, I know we drafted this guy, but we think we have a chance to win right now. Also, I think their coaching staff and GM are in pretty good position. Like, no one's saying they're under fire. And Quincy Adolfo-Mensah, how long has he been there? Like 2 years?
A little longer
3 years?
than that. But, I mean, Kevin O'Connell just won Coach of the Year, but things change quickly because they didn't extend him 2 years ago, and that's why he went into this season with only a year left on his deal, and it was like, all right, we're going to wait and see.
Yeah, they don't need to play McCarthy just to prove something. That would make no sense.
Let's go to Bill in Houston. Why not hit the phones early and often here? You want to talk about Aaron Rodgers? Let's do it. Bill, what do you think, pal?
I do. I think it's perfect football symmetry if he has a cup of coffee in New York like Brett Favre and then goes to the Vikings. Favre had his greatest year, in my opinion, with the Vikings, 34 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and was a bounty bowl away from being in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's already had to throw 48 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. And the best thing is Brett Favre, when he went back to Lambeau and beat the Packers, Aaron Rodgers could do the same thing. Which, by the way, that game at Lambeau, I saw the funniest sign I've ever seen in a football game. It said, "We've missed you, Brent." And so I would love for him to go to the Vikings, being a Vikings fan, and watching him come back in that way.
It'd be great theater, Bill. Thank you so much for the phone call, and just complete this whole thing, and then we get ready for Jordan Love's Jets era at some point, decade down the line.
Yeah.
And let's just keep this thing moving.
And then, so Jordan Love has 7 or 8 Pro Bowl seasons, and the Packers draft some kid at 26.
Exactly.
And then Love's like, well, I got to get out of here, but let me throw a 40 touchdown season. Then I'll go to the Jets. I'll stink. And then I'll go to the Vikings. The lesson, if you think about it, macro, is if you're old, you want to play indoors. That is that because Russell Wilson at Pittsburgh. I think Russell Wilson could call Minnesota and say, hey, listen, I threw 22 touchdowns in Pittsburgh. That equals 40 in Minnesota. He's the one who should try to get to Minnesota. He could have that season.
855-212-4227. Rodgers now and the Vikings. This is what all the insiders were bubbling about yesterday. What do you think? Some interesting comments from the chat, including the impact that Rodgers could have. I'm going to save it for a moment. Are we not thinking about one very important aspect of what we just saw with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets?
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
Yeah, don't be a weirdo. Take your own advice, Aaron. But this one very, very important detail that I think everyone is overlooking when it comes to Rodgers and the impact that he has. 855-212-4227. Don't move. M&P. We're back in a minute.
What hit me in the darkness?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. I'm putting together some numbers, Maggie. I'm going to have our crack research team. Do we have a research team?
Yeah, they were on the other side of the glass.
Okay.
And
We're
me.
on what?
The Minnesota is a retirement home for quarterbacks. You go there when you're old, you just throw a million touchdowns. There are so many quarterbacks who had incredible last years. I forgot about Brad Johnson, Dante Culpepper obviously had good young years. Jeff George, Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon, Gus Frerotte, my guy Case Keenum. There are so many guys who go into Minnesota for 1 year, have the career year, and then leave for whatever reason. I feel like Aaron Rodgers has to look at that and say there's something in the water in Minnesota.
What do you attribute it to? I mean, because you say inside, but you also play in Chicago and you play a Lambeau. Twice a year, so that's freezing.
I'm looking at their stats. They, except for the Adrian Peterson era, they never really had a running back, so they were always throwing the ball a lot. They've had great receivers: Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Justin Jefferson. Indoors, I'm not really sure why they don't commit to young quarterbacks except for Culpepper over the years. indoors. It's got to be the indoor thing.
So if the Lions play indoors for all these years, and they were like literally one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Wait, I'm sorry, who?
The Lions.
Yeah, I know, but they have always had massive passing numbers, the highest in the league. So
that's true. I mean,
Scott
Stafford
Mitchell
with Megatron.
Scott Mitchell, 1 year in Detroit, had an NFL record year. Obviously, Stafford threw for more yards than anyone.
Joe Harrington guy was awesome.
Well, it's always going to be a few.
Don't
upset our fans in Oregon.
Indianapolis has always had big passing seasons. Maybe it's as simple as indoor. That's why, by the way, if I'm making Geno Smith a very high fantasy football draft pick, he's got to throw for 1 million yards in Vegas.
Yeah.
Get indoors. That is the key. By the way, and your guy, the fact that Josh Allen is still throwing for 1 million yards in Buffalo, give him all the credit in the world.
Well, they just gave him all the money, so we'll give him the credit, too.
Go Bills.
Can you imagine if he was indoors? Oh, my God.
That'd be something.
Soon enough, he'll be half indoors.
Yeah, with a new stadium.
Oh, is that half indoors? I thought it was outdoors.
No, it's outdoors. Just the fans will be protected.
Yeah, it's like this indoor. It's like a cover kind of thing.
just for the fans.
It's a lot of money. 855-212-4227. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Let's go to Mike in California. Mike, you have a different take on Rodgers.
I hate Kathy Hochul.
Yeah, I think the guy should have retired maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago when he was just going all nutty with all the conspiracy stuff. Keep a legacy in Green Bay and then just kind of quietly shuffle away, because his last season in Green Bay was not great.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but he got, $30 million from the Jets and then played for a single drive, 30 minutes, and then injured his ankle.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Didn't even get to the full drive.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't get to play a full game, and then his backup came in, Zach Wilson, and then he gets
They won 7 games. So here's the thing, Mike. I get what you're saying, and I think, though, that's not the athlete mentality, and thank you for the call. I think the athlete mentality is not thinking, oh, I should ride off into the sunset when I still have good years. Now, some guys do it, right? Barry Sanders famously, and guys will retire early. But I think they want to ride this thing till the wheels come off and get maximize every moment of their career.
Yeah.
Not to be a little armchair psychologist, and I know Aaron Rodgers has a very full personal life, but he doesn't have a family yet. So it's not like he's moving kids all across the country or there's any kind of thought about that. What does he always say to McAfee? Like, attached to nothing, committed to something. He's got some phrase that would probably annoy every one of his girlfriends ever. But
I think Mike's point was the wheels did fall off. That they're off. There haven't been wheels for about a year and a half.
Yeah,
he's kind of he's on 4 flat tires at this point.
Is that true though?
I think he knows his body. Maybe he's worried about his leg. Who knows? Maybe it's not. Hey, he probably read the headlines the other day that Tiger was working out in the gym and tore his Achilles. I do think he's worried about his leg. He looked really bad for half that year. Think about the guys. You said that everyone wants to go out on a high, but Brady went out on a bad season. Peyton went out on a bad statistical season. Favre went out. He was terrible his last year, right? So everybody has to go out on a bad year.
Yeah, but what do you remember? Brady went to Tampa and beat Belichick and won another title without Belichick. What do you remember? Peyton Manning was the quarterback of that Super Bowl team. I know you don't give him any credit for it, but he was the quarterback there. He went out as a champion.
Definitely, but he lost his job to Brock Osweiler during the season.
And no one remembers that, except for people like you and me who bring it up.
Well, he had 9 touchdowns and 17 picks. Everybody knows that late Peyton was hard to watch. The wheels really, really fell off there because of his neck. It wasn't anything. Actually, it wasn't the wheels. It was the upper part of his body. But, yeah, I mean, listen, Rodgers is still 2 years off an Achilles, and yes, he should be better, but it's not ideal. 41, I think that he could say, I'm going to walk away, and nobody will care about the Jets. His legacy is perfectly safe, right? The Jets will just be a blip. It'll be like O.J. Simpson ending his career. I'm sorry, picking the wrong one. With the Niners, or Joe Namath ending at Ram, or Emmett ending at Cardinal, Jerry Rice ending 3 different teams as 0.0.
Michael Jordan as a Wizard. I don't know. The Jets are a unique brand of embarrassing, and so I think it's like they're kind of like they're just such a punchline of an organization. Sorry, EJ, but you know it's true. Their punchline of an organization is like, and then the Jets. It's like it always lands like a wet fart. It's like,
Yeah, but I don't think when Aaron Rodgers is going to the Hall of Fame, nobody's going to ding him even a little bit for this.
Definitely not ding him, but it's on the resume.
he had good numbers too. He's going to point out I had 28 TDs my last year. It actually could have ended a lot worse. I'm telling you, the Rodgers thing, just that he got that little blip of statistical succse. You know how Aaron Rodgers is. He'll spin that into some yarn
doc.
about how, I was looking really good there at the end.
What do you think of the photos of him on the beach? It's either a blanket or some kind of big beach towel. He's covered up in it. He's got the iPod, the headphones in.
iPod.
You know what I mean? AirPods, excuse me. I know Manny wasn't alive for the iPod. It was revolutionary. You missed the magic.
I was around for the mini. I digress.
Oh, okay. It was so amazing when it came. Rodgers staring out into the Pacific Ocean. What'd you make of it? It's a little too on brand. I'm like, where's the camera crew that's clearly following you around to set up this shot and set up this moment?
Netflix again?
Something.
Well, also,
everything this guy does is
he's in California, right? In Malibu, I assume. It's, people, paparazzi hang out around there. Probably a lot of famous people in this neighborhood. Is he in Malibu? Is that where this was? Does anyone know? Or was it somewhere like Costa Rica?
I don't think it was Costa Rica. I mean, everyone knows he doesn't get good service at the Malibu house. So
service in Malibu is terrible.
Send a Raven. I don't know how he's going to get correspondence.
That's one of the things I think he actually didn't. He should have. We should lay off on him on that. Malibu service is awful.
Okay.
Okay, it was Malibu apparently, but also I was wondering. A lot of people lost their houses in that neighborhood. I didn't even know if that was part of Malibu. Got hit hard.
It felt like a setup. That's just me.
Yeah, I think so too. It looked too staged. I was upset people kept saying it was a blanket. I think it's definitely a towel.
It might be a towel. Does anyone really, and maybe this is different because we don't live, we live on the water here in New York, but not like in California.
Nobody going in this nasty water.
Beautiful, yeah. You want to go swim in the Hudson River, see you never. But I just think that, do people really go and contemplate life sitting at the beach?
Yeah, I would
Malibu,
hope so.
Yeah.
You think so?
If you have a
seems
Malibu
so cliched.
if you're spending $25 million on a Malibu house, you better take a walk on that beach. What are you spending the money for?
No, you take a walk on the beach, but do you really? It looked like he's contemplating life's, this big decision. Do people really do that? It feels like something you only do in movies.
He could have been watching two seagulls fighting. We have no idea what this picture means.
You thought it was a poll?
You don't think people walk on the beach?
No, they do. I'm just saying, do you stare out into the ocean waves? He's sitting there, right? At one point, he's sitting down looking out at the ocean. Do people really do that to zen out?
Is this a real
contemplate
question?
Life's decision?
He's got, as you said, the iPods in. So, I mean, maybe he's listening to a song that just had him think about, when he was 12, when he walked those beaches.
Wait, does anyone here not go to the beach and look out at the water? That's what you do at a beach.
I just look at the sand.
I'm saying, okay, say you had a major life decision in front of you.
And you had an ocean in front of you. You wouldn't sit and contemplate in front of that massive body of water?
I just keep walking
kind
into
of
the
standard.
water.
I don't know. I think it feels a little like a TV show. Like they do that in a TV show or a movie.
Because it works. That's why you do it, because humans actually do it, Maggie.
Actually, I think Maggie needs to go to the beach and sit out and look at the beach.
What this displayed was main character energy, Maggie, and it looks like you're lacking it.
Clearly.
When I have to do you guys take blood pressure tests at the doctor?
No, I'm 27.
You don't take blood pressure? No. So you want to calm down so you don't have a gigantic reading. I think of myself sitting at the beach to get my blood pressure down. That's my go-to. And I think that's probably the most common go-to when you want to calm your mind.
You meditate though.
I do meditate, but still I think of the waves. Isn't that the most relaxing place that you could possibly be? Isn't that a go-to for a lot of people? You're not a beach person? Don't you like to sit and listen to the waves and just zone out?
Beaches of Binghamton are awesome.
Yeah, on the shores of the Susquehanna River.
Binghamton.
Yeah. I do enjoy it. I'm not a psycho. I sometimes listen to waves to go to sleep.
Yeah, me too. I love the sound of waves.
Right. Okay. But if I was contemplating one of life's big decisions, I don't know if I'd necessarily go to the beach to do it. That's what I'm saying.
But if you lived in Malibu.
Okay, maybe different.
Maybe he was listening to waves on his. He was listening to waves.
He's listening to nature sounds while he's in nature.
Exactly.
Yeah, really double down.
You have a beautiful beach outside your house. I got to contemplate this life decision.
I'm going to go in the garage.
I'm going to go into the dining room.
You turn on a Lions preseason radio broadcast and zone out.
You never know with me.
So this is, you guys take a stage picture. He's wearing a backwards hat and a blanket. I don't know. I'm not sure that this was staged by a woman because this is not a very great look.
I'm sure up
could
close
have done a
he
little
looks
better
fine.
if it's, I don't know
Was
if
he
this
supposed
is.
to be in a tuxedo?
Again, I'm looking at his look. I think that you're assuming he's thinking about weighing the Vikings versus the Steelers. He could be thinking about anything right now. What am I going to have for dinner?
What's really in the Earth's crust? Andrew
With
Bogusch
Aaron
is
Rodgers,
here.
he really could be
Really
thinking
don't
about
know.
anything.
Okay, who was the second shooter? Andrew Bogusch is here. I see you've done a little makeover on yourself.
Yes, Maggie, this is one of the 4 pieces of Knicks flair that our friends Manny and EJ wore to work this morning. This is EJ's this is Manny's very warm, very decorative Knicks jacket.
Which you can see on our live stream, youtube.com/Infinity Sports. You guys both stayed up to watch that double overtime game?
No, I woke up and saw the highlight.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
I was going to say, then you're talk about psycho behavior. That would have been nuts.
But they can wear 4 and not 0 because of Mikal Bridges.
3.4 to go. Bridges holds the ball high. Knicks do have one timeout. Into Hart. Back to Bridges with 2. 3 for the win. Top of the key. Got it! Got it! Mikal Bridges, a game winner at the horn. And the Knicks escape with an overtime win in Portland.
If the shot doesn't go in, they lose, and Manny's wearing a beer T-shirt this morning. Tyler Murray had to call on Knicks radio.
Finds Bridges quarter 3. It's good.
Remember those days? 114,
Wow,
113.
you were on the call last night?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In my basement, live streaming. 114, 113, the win in
That's very
Portland.
illegal, Adam Silver. I've got somebody.
Last night. But there are some issues in Knicks Nation. Pre-game, Bridges told reporters he and Tom Thibodeau have spoken about maybe playing fewer minutes, trusting the Knicks bench more. But then the head coach said this post-game.
We never had a conversation about it.
Oh, okay then. Let's have one now. Tibbs defending his rotations. He says Bridges, Jalen Brunson, the other guys, they're playing the right amount of minutes. But yes, sometimes it does get out of whack because
You're not going to put in your bench against LeBron. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to do that against Tatum. You're not going to do that against Brown. You have matchups in a game.
This season can't end fast enough. They all hate each other. I love it.
I don't know if they hate each other, but this is a new level because,
Did you pull a muscle there on that reach?
the minutes police, which loves to come out and get arrest warrants for Tom Thibodeau in the playoffs only. Now you have current guys who are complaining about it. When the Luol Dangs and the Taj Gibsons and guys said things, it was always after the fact. It was never during the season, as far as I recall.
This is the silly season where Tibbs just says stuff to get to the end. He does this all the time, where he just says stuff that doesn't make sense.
Why would you contradict one of your own players, though?
He's weird. Tom Thibodeau's a known psycho. He's crazy. So, to me, it doesn't even matter that whether or not the conversation happened. It's clear Bridges thinks he's playing too much minutes, so you got to play him less. And yesterday he kept saying, you got to play your wings the most minutes. But then you go through all the other seasons Tom Thibodeau had, the most minutes were logged by Julius Randle, who's not a wing. None of these guys played the minutes that Bridges is playing. So it's nonsense, but
here we are.
This is the Tibbs experience.
And Bridges had specifics of the conversation. He suggested Landry Shamet should play more. He gave us details.
This
and
is
Tim's
Joe
never
Burrow
happens.
when he was trying to explain to the Bengals how they could lower his cap hit on every radio show in America. Yeah.
By the way, all these headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Whoop.
The headlines continue with the Suns losing again last night, 111-104 in Houston. Luckily, the Mavs, just 9 healthy players this time, lost in San Antonio 126-116. So Phoenix stays 2.5 games behind Dallas for the last spot in the West play-in. The Clippers got a 119-104 win in Miami. The Grizzlies snuck past the Jazz 122-115 on late threes from Luke Kennard and John Morant. And the Thunder won a showdown in Boston 118-112, OKC clinching a playoff spot with that victory. While we wait on Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson expected to meet with the Browns and Giants this week. The Niners signing Mac Jones to back up Brock Purdy, and the Broncos signed veteran tight end Evan Ingram. Our guy Lamar let us down last night, losing the Southland title game to McNeese 63-54. Montana outscored Northern Colorado 91-83 to claim the Big Sky auto bid, and American handled Navy 74-52 to win the Patriot League's spot in men's March Madness. And NHL overtime had never ended this fast before.
Off the draw. Here it is. Montour. Right in. He scores! Hey, hey! What do you say? 5 seconds in. Brandon Montour wins it in overtime.
John Forsland on Kraken TV. Brandon Montour technically scoring 4 seconds into overtime, the quickest game ender in league history. 3 players did score 4 seconds into a regulation period before last night. Seattle topping Montreal 5-4. Guys, back to you.
You guys excited for Mac Jones' Pro Bowl appearance in San Francisco this year or next year? There's no doubt in my mind he will be playing for Kyle Shanahan at some point.
I think this was a tactic. I think this was a negotiating tool, ploy, whatever you want to say.
Pain.
Maybe they don't like how Brock Purdy is negotiating and like, you know what? We were really into Mac Jones before we also then pivoted to Trey Lance and one of the worst decisions in the history of the franchise that luckily didn't sink the franchise very much.
Only God knows.
But
I don't think I know what you're saying. Of course, that makes sense, but I think he will play because this is what happens with Kyle Shanahan. If you are a quarterback who is on Kyle Shanahan's team, you're getting in and you're throwing for 1,000,000 yards. I guarantee Mac Jones.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I mean, listen, because Jimmy G signed a big deal, and then first of all, everyone gets hurt at San Francisco. I understand how this works. I think Mac Jones is going to play and play well at some point. I will bet anyone here.
Oh, see, I was trying to guess.
Mac Jones will not play well. I will take you on that bet.
I will totally take you on the bet. Mac Jones is going to be incredibly efficient in Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Wait, something is happening.
He's going to play for somebody else and win 14 games like Darnold in Minnesota.
He's got 2 years there in San Fran.
Fine, he's got time then for things to open up.
What's the bet?
wait, I still don't know how he's going to get into the starting lineup. Brock got hurt in the NFC Championship game and never missed a practice the next year. He plays all the time.
The Niners are always cycle through 1,000,000 quarterbacks. Also, Shanahan gets tired of guys.
Do you think that now they're not going to pay Purdy? That's essentially what you're saying.
No, I mean, it was like when Jimmy G was killing it in 2021. This reminds me of the 2022 season. They came into the season with Trey Lance starting. He goes down in 2 games. Then Jimmy G comes in, regrettably. They didn't want to play him. Plays 9 games. He goes down. Then Purdy comes in. He goes down. Then Josh Johnson comes in. I think, quarterbacks get hurt. I think that Mac Jones will find his way onto the field. It just feels too perfect, right? Mac Jones playing for Kyle Shanahan.
Do you think that Purdy gets the contract?
Oh, yeah, he definitely gets the contract.
Oh, okay. So this is not, okay.
No, they're not playing. 2 years, $7 million. That's not a threat to Purdy. But I think he gets in because Mac Jones is so perfect for Kyle Shanahan.
Why?
He's a cop because he looks like Kirk Cousins. He
can't physically like side like Kirk Cousins.
He's physically looks like Brock Purdy. He looks like a combination of every Shanahan quarterback that ever existed.
You like that?
Honestly, Shanahan is great with unathletic quarterbacks who kind of run his stretch zone. I just see it happening.
Okay, wait. Let's put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Not to go corporate speak. We got to take a quick break. We've got that. Okay. Not sure. We'll talk about the San Francisco 49ers quarterback situation. And also, I will pay off what I said last segment, which is the one thing no one's talking about when it comes to Rodgers and bringing him into the fold. And what the coaches should be thinking about, whether it's Minnesota, whether it's Pittsburgh, whether it's the Giants. When you sign Aaron Rodgers, something else could happen. 855-212-4227 M&P.
Pain.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com, not available in all states. All right, Maggie, you suggested an unusual poll question, but one that fits today.
Yeah, the picture of Aaron Rodgers sitting on the beach in Malibu, kind of wistfully looking out into the ocean, presumably making a decision or contemplating a decision about his future. Was it staged? Did he do that knowing that the photo he would get photographed? I'm not saying he hired the paparazzi and told them, I'm coming out to my house or I'm coming outside. But, Rodgers been famous for a really long time. And you guys said it. Malibu is a place where you go on the beach. I think you kind of expect that you might get photographed because so many famous people live there.
Well, I wonder, you brought up, is there a camera crew following him for Netflix? I know he has a deal with it. I assume he has an overall deal with them. If you do a Netflix documentary 1 year, I bet that's what they're filming him.
I think so. JT is in Atlanta. JT, what do you think? Was that photo staged?
No, Maggie, thanks for taking my call, guys. But I'm just saying, how do you tell me you never lived on the coastal West Coast without telling me you never lived there, right? By this question, right? Because you got to know, like, now that I'm on the East Coast, the East Coast beaches and stuff are known for great sunrises.
Yes.
On the West Coast, they're known for great sunsets, right? And so in the evening, afternoon, that's where you're at. Like, when the sun's going down, you want to sit out there next to the beach, and anywhere you're at next to the ocean. It does give you some perspective, right, as far as your significance in all of this, right? You look at and you don't see anything but water. You hear the crashing, the same sound that they sell on all these little sound machines and all of that. I mean, it's a whole mood.
Yeah.
But on the West Coast, it's warm. It's nighttime. You got that cold, that warm, summer breeze, or not summer yet, but you got the warm breeze, the nice sunset about to happen. It's a whole vibe when it comes to the evenings,
right,
or afternoons on a West Coast beach.
So I was asking, do people actually go out to the beach, at sunset to contemplate life's biggest decisions, choices? It seems like something you'd only do in a movie or a TV show. JT, you're saying that happens all the time. Thank you. And I agree. Listen, I've, my husband and I, before we had our kid, did an amazing, drive from Portland, Oregon to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. We had such a good time. And there were moments along that route where we were sitting out watching the sunset. But I wasn't like, I was just enjoying it. I wasn't using the ocean and the beach as like the setting for where I needed to, make a big decision. Does that make sense?
No. Everybody else, if you live in California on the beach and you have to make a big decision, going out and walking on the beach seems like a very logical thing to do.
Yeah, I guess I don't put myself in a place when I have to make a big decision like that. Maybe I should.
I'm just curious, if you did have to make a big decision, where would you go? What's your go-to place?
Shower. I contemplate life's biggest choices.
How about the treadmill?
I do like the treadmill too. Jogging, I get a lot of clarity when I'm running. I know you're a runner too, Pearl.
But if you lived on the beach, would you walk out to the beach?
Maybe I would. I don't know.
But I think you're out of the mainstream on this one. I think a lot of people like to contemplate on the beach. I did that drive from Portland to San Francisco. Did you stop at Crater Lake? The deepest lake in America? Yeah, everybody does the same trip.
I remember Nethearts.
Mount Shasta.
Yeah, Mount Shasta.
Beautiful area.
Yep. It was great. I highly recommend it. It was a little colder than I thought it was going to be. It was a summertime.
Yeah, I think this whole segment reveals a lot about you. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is going out and looking at the ocean, and you're like, I thought that only happened in movies. You were just so cynical about anything, anything new agey. I could just hear your judgment dripping from that statement.
Well, but it's also Rodgers. Like, if it had been Joe Burrow out there, I would have been like, maybe Joe Burrow really is out there contemplating. Rodgers, to me, I'm skeptical about him, because I think everything's done for the camera. It's like Rodgers, LeBron. There's a few people who I think really play up to the cameras or to try to make a moment. If it was like Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't have this type of cynicism. I think it's because it's Rodgers. I know it's because it's Rodgers.
Okay. But do you think, but you said no people go out on the beach.
Well, and I don't think regular people do that kind of stuff.
Definitely think
they would. Are we all too busy? Maybe that's me.
I'll bet you Trevor Lawrence does go out on the beaches in Florida, and I don't know. They have beaches.
Think about who's going to be his next head coach after this one.
No,
fails.
I think that's a good place to do it. But Rodgers does do all that stuff. The guy goes to Costa Rica and does ayahuasca for 4 days. Of course, he's the king of all this stuff.
Yeah, 855-212-4227.
I'd be shocked if he wasn't by the ocean contemplating something.
Did go into a darkness retreat the last time he thought about retiring. That's not exactly the ocean.
Yeah, but that's the point is he likes these meditative spaces.
Guess so. It's kind of like a setup. Again, 855-212-4227. Okay, more about plans for new quarterbacks in new places. We'll do that next.
Don't make it up, okay?
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Well, Perloff, only one team is going to ultimately land Aaron Rodgers, we think. welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I guess retirement is on the table. Maybe this ends up snake eyes on everybody. But meanwhile, Rodgers still kind of, holding a couple teams, let's say hostage, but kind of feels like it. Steelers are interested. Giants are interested. And we found out yesterday from Diana Rossini that the Vikings are now interested. Mm-hmm. And that's a totally different calculus because you have J.J. McCarthy. They keep crushed. I know, that was the Raiders were crushed. They didn't get Matthew Stafford. But, it's a different calculus, I think, for the Vikings because they keep saying publicly, we are committed to J.J. McCarthy and we don't want anything to impede his development. Well, Aaron Rodgers in the building may do that. Now, that is not the same kind of, factor that the Giants or the Steelers would have because they don't have any young quarterbacks on the roster right now. So let's just say plan B. The Steelers seems kind of obvious. You had Russell Wilson. He was there last year. You could bring him back. I know he's visiting the Cleveland Browns and then the Giants. But it feels like the obvious pivot for the Steelers. No Rodgers, go to Russ. Not as clear for the New York Giants, who are holding the 3rd overall pick. If they miss out on Rodgers, where do they go?
Why not Russ? Why is it the Russ is going there Friday, right? Tomorrow? What's the difference?
Well, I think Russ would go to the Steelers. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If Rodgers goes to the Vikings, I think Russell goes to the Steelers.
Yeah.
He already is familiar with the system.
I mean, honestly, the Giants wanted Matthew Stafford, right? It fell apart. Did not happen. If they miss out on Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, I think that's the universe telling them they have to tank this entire season. And if you're a Giants fan, aren't you somewhat thrilled? You do not want Russell Wilson in the building. I mean, Manny's a Giants fan. I know a lot of Giants fans. They will be depressed if Russell Wilson is a signing. And they should be because they're going to win 5 games. So I think the nothingness of this quarterback situation is actually somewhat enticing. That means they have to go young, either this year's draft or next year's draft. And that, to a Giants fan, I think that's what Giants fans want. They don't want Russell Wilson, and I don't really think they want Aaron Rodgers. I mean, is Aaron Rodgers on the Giants? Is that going to do anything? I don't even think the most optimistic Giants fans are too fired up.
No.
Well, I think the only people that it serves to bring in Aaron Rodgers are the 2 guys who are making this decision, Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, who are both on the hot seat. And that's their owner, John Mara's fault for publicly putting them on the hot seat and forcing them to say, we're going to take a big swing. We're going to leave no stone unturned. Like the talk coming out of New York with the Giants has been big. Like, don't worry, we're going to get this figured out. And meanwhile, they've had come up with bubkiss. But I think what it means, if they can't get Aaron Rodgers, I think they go to Shedeur. I think it's the only kick save and a beauty they have. It's the only ace up the sleeve, and good luck with that because there's a lot of people who don't think Shedeur is actually worthy of a 1st-round grade. Now, we can talk about that, and we will talk about it, but I think the only way they salvage this if they miss out on Rodgers is to take Shedeur, and then you look like, all right, this was the plan the whole time. We always love Shedeur, and you can spin it that way.
Yeah, but are you worried about missing out on next year's draft if you take Shedeur? Because you add Shedeur to this Giants team, and he has to start immediately. I know he's a bit older. They could be really bad, and they could be 4-13 again. They were 3-14 this year. And then you're sitting there at the top of the draft again. Do you think about that if you're the Giants? If you're John Mara and Steve Tisch, do you say, well, we could go Shedeur, but, man, I will really, really want Arch. I think that is being talked about in the building.
Okay, but if you really want Arch Manning, then why were you going hard after Matthew Stafford? Because he was going to win you more than 5 games. Matthew Stafford could be good for 8 or 9, and then you're real far away from Arch.
I'm saying the whole strategy has pivoted because of what actually happened. Once they didn't get Stafford, I think they changed their minds. I think they should change their minds. They didn't get Stafford. They're not going to get, if they don't get Rodgers, then at some point, don't you just say, okay, well, this isn't happening. Let's just go a completely different direction.
So here's my questions about the Giants Arch Manning situation. Yeah. We know what happened with the Giants and the Eli Manning situation.
Yep.
The Giants didn't even have the number 1 pick, and they were still able to get Eli.
Right, went from 4 to 1.
Exactly. I know the relationship between Eli and the Giants is obviously very, very good, despite some wrinkles at the end.
Right.
Do you think the Giants still carry the same kind of cachet that they did when Eli Manning was coming out of the draft in 2004? And I know the Giants, globally have the 4 Super Bowl trophies, and they are one of the great franchises, I guess, in the NFL. But as any Giants fan, like Manny will tell you, it's been a long decade. Like, this thing snowballed pretty fast where, I think a lot of things that the Giants used to hang their hat on are no longer true. Like, we're a smart organization. We're a disciplined organization. We're a, stable organization. The evidence is not there right now. They cycle through head coaches. They've cycled through general managers. They do make bad decisions, and they've kind of become just like everybody else.
Yeah, but what were they? I don't remember them being that good in 2004. They were kind of, I know they made the one random Super Bowl run with Kerry Collins that got destroyed, but I don't think they were any great shakes back then.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like they were terrible then, too. Like, the 90s weren't good to the Giants after the first Super Bowl with the Bills. Sorry, Maggie.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then the early 2000s also, they went Super Bowl, got crushed, and then they were kind of,
But don't you think more reputational damage has been done in this last decade?
I think Eli counters all that. I know what you're saying. Actually, no.
Why would they want Arch to go to Indianapolis? Like, why does it have to be Eli's destination? Why couldn't it be Peyton's? This is not Eli's kid. It's his nephew. It's Cooper's kid. So, like, to think that they have some kind of, loyalty to the Giants over Denver. Well, it won't be Denver now because of Bo Nix. But why not Indy?
I feel like Indy wins 9 games every year, so they win 8 or 9 games.
The Giants would kill to win 9 games
right
now.
No. I don't think that they're going to be at the top of the draft to get him.
Well, think about it, Maggie. We see Eli Manning getting a lot of accolades, awards, love from the New York Giants. When was the last time you seen Peyton in Indy?
It's funny. I don't see him there a lot.
He lives in Denver.
He lives in Denver.
Not an accident.
But do you think there's a bad relationship there?
Yes.
Because of Irsay?
I think Peyton didn't love how it ended there, and I don't think it was a Eli Manning Giants kumbaya at the end. I think it just ended.
Well, Eli and the Giants went through their stuff
that's
too.
what I'm saying.
They benched Eli when he had the record for most starts.
But as you mentioned, Eli's come back. He's been honored. He's definitely Mr. Giant. Peyton Manning is not Mr. Colt, which is crazy. It's insane. But he is Mr. Bronco. He's at the Nuggets games.
Yeah.
He lives in Denver. He's made Denver his place, Peyton's place.
Well, if you look at it right now, isn't the big competition? Wouldn't it be the Giants and the Saints would be the two teams? Cooper is Mr. New Orleans.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the Giants have the market cornered on Arch, is what I'm saying. You're right. It is kind of weird that Peyton is not a bigger figure, I guess, in Indy. Although, is his name on the hospital or something? I think he still has roots in the city. But fair, and maybe because we live in New York, we see Eli around all the time. But I just think that it's not a fait accompli that they're going to funnel Arch to the Giants. I think if the Giants don't get Aaron Rodgers, I think they go Shedeur. And it's here's our shiny toy. Forget all the failures of Matthew Stafford and Rodgers and forget all that. We're just going to take Shedeur, and now we've got something new to talk about. Change the conversation, like Don Draper used to say.
Right, but and you're probably right, but I actually question that fit, where Shedeur is and where that team is. If I'm Dion and the Shedeur team, I might not want him to go there. I would probably rather him go to Vegas or somewhere where even he sits a year. Just because that's a disastrous situation. If Shedeur has to start in New York this year, they are not going to win a lot of football games.
I think maybe we see the Giants a little bit differently. I actually don't think, listen, they're coming off a season where they won 3 games. It's a hard team to defend, but they're not totally bereft of talent.
No, they have a little talent, but I'm looking at the Super Bowl odds. They're in singular last place. The Titans are 200-1. The Giants are 250-1. It's going to be hard to win there. I think that O-line is not perfect.
No one would expect them to win in the first year or the second. There's also not an expectation that Shedeur would come in and all of a sudden you've got to be competing with the Eagles.
Right, like Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, they could be really bad and they could be high up in that draft next year, and they know that. It's got to be in their conversation. And it's not just Arch Manning. Next year's class, you got to assume is going to be much better. There are a lot of guys. There are a lot of names that we're going to be watching next year of quarterbacks. Garrett Nussmeier. You got Drew Allers, went back to college. There are a lot of guys the Giants probably are interested. Remember, Giants love Carson Beck for some reason. He'll be around. I don't know if they still love him. But I don't know. The opportunity cost of taking Shedeur now means you're not getting a quarterback in the future. So that is definitely in the cards. Because if they don't get Rodgers, then they just have to pivot off this old quarterback plan.
Well, there's no one left.
Well, they just go Flacco. Go trade for Cousins.
Winston.
You think Jameis in New York is a good fit?
Jameis, yeah, go Jameis.
I don't know
like
if
that.
it's a good fit, but I mean, like I said the other day, it feels like the Giants are just striking out. It feels like they're being picked last by you. They're just the bottom of the barrel. So I mean,
you don't want Shedeur, Manny?
I mean,
you couldn't get revved up by Shedeur.
The Giants have sucked the life out of me.
See,
I really I'm indifferent now to the Giants. I'm indifferent now. It sucks.
Wow. 855-212-4227. Yeah, the pivot here, I think goes. You think it goes to like someone just really kind of down and out, and you basically tank the season.
No, I mean,
then
I
the
think
GM and the coach are all getting fired, and you're gonna have to start over.
I definitely think it could be
Wonderful.
Shedeur. It makes sense, but I think Shedeur is a system quarterback. He has to be in the right place because he's not huge, doesn't have this massive cannon. He is considered the great timing quarterback of this draft, where Cam Ward will throw balls out of anywhere. You have no idea where the ball is going to go. I think everyone thinks Shedeur has to get the right place with a coach he jives with, and maybe that's stable. Honestly, I'd rather see him with Stefanski in Cleveland. I just think this is going to be a tough spot for Shedeur, and I wonder if Deion doesn't want him there. It's outdoors. You think about the other competition. Raiders sit a year, and then Geno's gone. By the way, they have not signed Geno to a new contract.
Not yet.
I think there's a lot of other options. Yeah, honestly, if they draft Shedeur Sanders, what's their win total next year? Let's be realistic.
5.
Yeah, but it's not a one-year thing. You would never say that about a rookie quarterback. No one would say, "Oh, you got to come in and we need you to win 10 games." Like that's completely unrealistic. And I think Deion would say, "Hell yeah" to New York because I don't know if market size really matters as much in this day and age, but I mean, Deion and they're all real famous hanging out in Boulder, Colorado, but still, New York doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I wonder. I always think that Deion is more oriented towards the South, Atlanta, Dallas, Nashville. He seems to have a lot of connections in Nashville. So I don't know that New York thrills him. Windy Stadium. I just don't love this fit.
But
I
at the same
think you're
time-
right, Maggie. I do think they'll look at Shedeur to change the narrative, but I'm not excited about it. I mean, hey, I didn't know Jaden Daniels was going to be that good, so maybe it works, but it feels like the wrong fit.
Shedeur to Malik Neighbors?
That's what I'm saying. When you think about the weapons, I know, Brock, Bowers is in Las Vegas, but the number one receiver of all these teams is definitely Neighbors. Not even close.
Agree.
Right, but what's the best line out of all these?
Raiders.
Not the Giants.
Well, Browns.
Yeah, maybe Browns.
Because I think
Those guys get
Batonio's going
hurt,
back to
but-
the Browns.
Yeah,
What?
those guys have gotten hurt a lot.
They get hurt. They're old and they're injury prone.
if they're healthy Browns. I think, but considering what happened last year, I think you could argue the Raiders had a better line.
And now, by the way, the Titans also fixed their line in free agency, and maybe they trade with the Giants. The Giants get up for Cam. Is Cam in the conversation? Cam Ward?
I just think it's too obvious.
Now we're talking.
If you're the Titans, I mean, you're going to pass on Cam Ward when you have the number one pick.
Man, what if the Giants offered you 2 first-rounders?
I'm still holding on to Nevin Shapiro saying that Cam Ward's going to be a Giant. He's the
Did he really?
He's the famous disgrace booster from the Miami Hurricanes.
That's your source?
Look, he said it on a podcast, and he said, look, I know people who have told me with great confidence that the Giants will land Shedeur. Cam Ward.
There's a
Hold
lot
on.
of smoke out there that the 2 New York teams are calling the Titans every day, trying to get up there.
I think they want him.
But EJ, you realize this is kind of a little faulty, right? Like Nevin Shapiro has lied to everyone about everything. You don't think he would say something like this just to get a headline? This is the most thirsty. This dude had to hang out with teenagers to make himself feel good.
But Nevin, at the same time, he gets access to people in the Miami area.
In jail?
Miami's a weird. Well, he's out of jail now. He's on house arrest or something. I don't know. He's
fabulous.
Doing
podcast. And then he got commuted, right? Didn't Biden got him out of there? So now
maybe.
he's free.
All right.
So
back on the streets. Back on the yacht.
Miami's a weird place. There are people who just know things are going to happen, and there's connections. And Nevin, look, he's a known fraudster. Again, he's a Ponzi schemer. Like, we know what he is, but when it comes to Miami football, he does know people.
Can he not be within 100 yards of the building?
I would think so. He shouldn't. He's a rat. I don't want him anywhere near Miami. He screwed us, but it doesn't deny the fact that he does know people.
I do like this idea. If I'm the Titans and I can get a hold of the Giants' number 1 pick for next year, that is very interesting to me. Because you could get a serious haul, and they could, if you get Travis Hunter at that 3 spot, I just think the Titans would at least listen to that call. Because right now, I don't think that's a great team with Cam Ward or Shedeur, Tennessee.
Yeah.
They did fix their offensive line. That's a big deal. But they could also wait till next year.
Well, I ask
patient.
you this question then. Sorry to interrupt. Is Cam Ward worth 2 future firsts?
Well, to the Giants and the Jets, he at least 1 first. I think you have to give up a first to move up to 1.
No, you do. I'm just asking if it's worth it.
I think so. I think your Jets would definitely offer a first for Cam Ward.
I want them to. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen now because I think Fields is going to start this year, so I don't think you're going to trade draft capital now. But I've been saying the Jets should move up for Cam Ward. That's obvious to me.
855-212-4227. Okay, so we've got plan Bs all over the place. We're trying to be solution-based.
Kind of C or D for the Giants at this point.
I think this...
More like double A, double B.
I think that all of this is really good for Shedeur Sanders. That's my bottom line. Rodgers, especially Rodgers retiring, that's phenomenal for Shedeur because it leaves a few more places that are desperate for quarterbacks, and he's just going to be sitting out there waiting. 855-212-4227, contemplating life. Oh, by the way, speaking of, we are asking you on X, do you think the photo of Aaron Rodgers sitting on the beach was staged? Now, this is a photo from yesterday. He's in Malibu, backwards hat. He's got some kind of towel blanket on, staring out into the ocean. 77% of the smart people are with me. Yes, it was staged. Everything Rodgers does for the cameras these days.
Don't make it up, okay?
He brought cameras to his ayahuasca trip. Then he called it the sacred tea ceremony. Is it that sacred when you've got 4 camera guys eating granola bars and holding the boom mic?
Would hit me in the darkness.
No, it's not. It cheapens it.
But when you say stage, do you think that he's like, hey, I'm going to be here?
No,
Do you think he just said, I know I'm going to be seen,
yeah,
and I'm going to just walk on the beach and wait for somebody to take a picture?
I think people that famous kind of know.
Okay.
There's a good chance. Good chance if I go out in public, open like this, I'm on the beach by myself, someone's going to take a photo of me. Why wouldn't he think that? That probably happens all the time. I'm sure it's super annoying, but also he can use it to his advantage. 855-212-4227. Okay, I've got a question for the group when we come back. We also have to get to some college hoops because this was an awesome, I don't know, what if that we got to get to. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show, discussing Shedeur Sanders' future. So Shedeur's visited the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants, and he has the Titans next week. So if you look at the visits, he's going high in the draft, which is good. I wonder if also he could follow the Steelers at 21. We're talking about all these quarterback vacancies. Will Shedeur jump in there? I also want to throw it out to callers. Is anyone on the Mac Jones bandwagon in the coast with me? Come on, Mac Jones. Come on, Mac Jones. 2 years, $7 million. Kyle Shanahan is a wizard at fixing unathletic quarterbacks. He's getting Brock Purdy $50 million a year, and that guy was Mr. Irrelevant. I could go down the list of I was looking at some guys who thrived under the Shanahan-Kubiak system. Matt Schaub, Kirk Cousins, Brian Hoyer had a killer half a season. My guy Case Keenum under Kubiak was amazing. You can, if you're a little undersized or you're a little slow, Kyle Shanahan's your guy. And look, when you're athletic, you're terrible under him.
Yeah, Trey Lance got no use for you.
Trey Lance was bad. He got RG3 killed. So basically, Shanahan loves these kind of weird, unathletic quarterbacks. I think Mac Jones has a renaissance in him. If there's an injury, which I'm not rooting for Brock Purdy, watch out for the Mac Jones train.
I just think that this was done a little bit on purpose. Now, they need a backup, so I guess, but I just think that they did this to try to force Brock to the table, maybe for the reasons you're saying, right? And I think that it's undeniable that you go back to the, 2022 draft, the Trey Lance draft, 2021, where the reports were that Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. Right. And then somehow they pivoted to Trey Lance, and they kind of did it last minute, at least was the report. And so to finally reunite, I guess, with a guy that he had done a lot of research on and maybe wanted to draft, I think they're trying to send a message to Purdy. Get back to the table.
But it's not even just right. I totally agree with that. But 2 years, $7 million is a kind of a weak message because that is really low end backup money.
Well, they don't have a lot of money in San Francisco. A lot of talent just walked out the door.
The thing about Kyle Shanahan is he does fall out of love with quarterbacks. I mean, Jimmy G was sitting there and he basically said goodbye to him about 3 times, and he could have easily stuck with Jimmy G.
Well,
and he
Jimmy
moved
G
on.
started to get hurt.
But even when Jimmy G was healthy, he got sick of him because Jimmy G is a little bit inaccurate. I could see this. A lot of things change under Kyle Shanahan. All the Shanahan Kubiak quarterbacks, just surprising things happen. I think a Mac Jones renaissance is not. Also, Mac Jones has a good arm. It's not a terrible arm. I bet on him a couple times in Jacksonville last year when he was playing.
How'd that go?
I think he hit over on his yardage. I have to double check, but he definitely can sling the ball a little bit. What's the difference between Mac Jones and Brian Hoyer and I hate to say it, and Case Keenum and even Matt Shaw? These guys, they're guys who work in this system.
Yeah, no, Mac Jones was probably drafted a lot higher than those guys.
There's a reason Shanahan wanted to draft him.
So here's the thing, though. I know you said you're not rooting for an injury, and I've known you a long time. You are not a root for injury guy. But it kind of sounds like you really want to see this Mac Jones thing. Brock is sitting there. Brock is healthy. How is this renaissance going to happen if we never get him on the field?
How many quarterbacks have played before last year? How many different quarterbacks have played under Shanahan at San Francisco? He was going 5 deep. Nick Mullins used to get in all the time. Backups play a lot in this system.
Well, is that a flaw then of something that Shanahan is doing? Is that because we saw Brock get hurt a couple times when, especially the NFC Championship game against your Eagles a couple of years ago, where they refused to help their offensive line, and I forgot who it was who got to Purdy. What was it? Hassan Reddick, was it? Who got to Purdy in that game?
I think it was
right?
Reddick, yeah.
And basically ripped his elbow off of his body. I think Kyle Shanahan deserves some blame for that because he was not chipping, he was not helping, and there was, Purdy was a sitting duck back there. So maybe it's not like a coincidence.
It's also
that all these Shanahan quarterbacks keep getting hurt.
Well, right, they get hurt. He doesn't go, "Oh, you're not playing well. Sit down." And next guy comes in. Trey Lance snapped his ankle.
Yeah.
Jimmy G got hurt, and then the NFC title game was a complete aberration. He's not like just going to backup quarterbacks for fun. It's out of necessity.
No, but he did fall out of love with Garoppolo. That was well documented.
Garoppolo's not good.
Right.
So
well, he was pretty. I mean, he came back in 2023, was it? And he was really good.
I mean, as a talent, like he's not John Elway, is what I'm saying.
He wins the face draft.
Right. Like, he's very good looking.
Right.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
My point is, it's easy to fall out of love.
But obviously,
he's the entire first round of the face draft.
It's weird to say falling out of love with someone that handsome.
True.
But
challenge accepted.
I mean, he obviously did fall in love with him the first time.
Yeah.
And he got him to the Super Bowl. I mean, Jimmy G's right in the wheelhouse of all the Shanahan quarterbacks. Is Jimmy G that different than Brock Purdy, talent-wise?
probably not.
I think
they're all in the same wheelhouse. Yeah, I mean, Purdy's a little better, but by the way, Mac Jones had some big games last year. He threw for 294 against your Jets, 247 against the Raiders.
How many picks did he throw in that game?
Like 11?
Yeah, definitely.
He threw 2 picks. But
the 294 includes the return.
But my point is, the guy could push the ball downfield.
I don't think he does that well. See, that's why I disagree. Like, I feel like that game is a great example because I watched that game. That was a game when Tay went crazy for the Jets. He's throwing the ball in harm's way. I think he's a game manager, and I guess like Kyle Shanahan, maybe that's what he would want, or he can win with that. But
that's why he wanted
I don't think
Mac
he pushes the ball
Jones
down the field. That's what I'm saying. I think if he's throwing the ball
the Jags
35
were trailing
times,
in a lot of those games too, right?
They're trailing against the Jets, which is why they were pushing the ball down the field. Like I think if that's how they're going to play him, I think that would be a disaster. He needs to be like hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey 100 times.
Well, he's going to be a play-action quarterback. That's the thing. You know, certain kind of quarterbacks are great at that. Guys who can't run love play-action. I heard someone talk about this the other day. If you're Lamar Jackson, you don't want to be in a play-action offense because you never want to turn your back on the defense. So these guys who are under-athletic are perfect for Shanahan. And Mac Jones is the picture of under-athletic quarterbacks. If you're looking at guys who can't move around, show me that shirtless picture of Mac Jones from the draft, pre-draft.
Man, 855-212-4227. I didn't know that anybody had this many opinions about Mac Jones. Perloff is the king of the backup quarterback, so it's very on brand for you. But I saw this and was like, move on. I didn't even give it a second thought, except for the fact that Brock might get a little nervous. But I think Mac Jones is going to be a non-factor. It's kind of where I'm going with that. Anyway, Andrew Bogusch has headlines for us. What's up?
And guys, a very important update on a story we've been following all week long. MLB and New Era have now pulled 2 more controversial hats. The As Hose one and the Ana Els one. They joined the Rangers boobs in Spanish hat that first caused all of this controversy. That Rangers hat, by the way, apparently selling for as much as $1,000 on eBay and other secondary markets. People were able to buy it before they're like, that says a bad word in Spanish. Yeah. So there are hats in the
circulation.
wild. Yeah.
That's so funny because you can actually look at boobs for free. But something about that hat is going for $1,000.
Yeah, I heard you can do that for free.
I mean, this makes perfect sense, Maggie. Why would you not? I mean, I wouldn't pay $1,000, but I could see the value in that hat. And no matter how many free boobs are on the internet, and not many hats say that word officially licensed by MLB.
That's going to be an elite thrift find in about 20 years.
Manny's going to be like, I can't believe my good fortune.
I can't believe my goodwill.
You're going to apologize to me about the A's hat?
I was going to say.
I'm only going to half apologize because the A's hat that you didn't understand why we were so offended by. It does exist, but it was erroneously put into the story that I was working off of by The Athletic. So the Athletics hat that spells out, I mean, it is.
I read the same article.
Right. The Athletics hat that spells out ASS does exist, but it's not from this line of. So there's a second line of hats that got through New Era quality control with a curse word on it.
Man, I heard David Sampson, the former president of the Marlins, who's been on this show many times, talk about this is impossible that it got through that many layers. Like he went through the whole thing about who gets emailed and who has to sign off and like the real X's and O's of what goes on behind the scenes. It's impossible, yet it happened. I mean, it had to be on purpose.
The NFL, I think, has like an 18-month process to change your uniform. You can't just go, oh, I want a New Jersey, like because they have to unwind things and find new trademarks, whatever. So and go through all of these checks and balances. And baseball has put out multiple hats with crude words on them.
Oh, remember the uniforms that were crude because we could see everybody's junk?
Yeah, that was wild.
Fanatics.
Some people like those though. There's a market for those pants.
Yeah, women.
Get women to the ballpark. That's why Andre wanted to see the Mets off last year. I'm like, Andre, my knees hurt. I can't go.
So why did you buy a half-season ticket package when I can't go to the games? Like, oh, no reason. Just really like Francisco Lindor. No, I don't think that doesn't work on women, really. It's not. I don't think so. It's just a little too out there.
I'll be honest. I don't think the whole like sexy athlete thing, I don't think it's a thing. Like lingerie football, like I don't think people actually like that stuff. Like I don't think anyone watches that.
Men don't watch that? Women in...
I don't think so. I don't know no man that watches... I think
there was a basketball league where women were only wearing thongs.
Yes, there was that too. And like there's a idea that this is going to catch on, and it never does.
Well, nobody's there for the athleticism.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that this is actually a thing. Like I don't think like, oh, if we put the men in like scantily clad uniforms or the women in scantily clad uniforms that these leagues would do better.
No, but there are women that like tight baseball pants.
No,
and I'll be honest, there are beautiful tennis players and soccer players that you can't not pay attention to.
No, that's different. I mean, like here's a league where it's a lingerie football league, and it's just like women are in lingerie and shoulder pads. That's all they're wearing. It never succeeds. It never works. I don't know a man
but they keep trying.
They keep trying, but I'm not saying I don't think it's a good business model.
Peter Schwartz will run one of those teams someday soon.
Wouldn't that be amazing? He will, and you guys will be jealous.
I mean, I think if they had more downfield passing, if it was a little more vertically oriented.
The two high safeties has really killed that league, the lingerie league.
I mean, let's face it. You have the internet. Do you really need to watch lingerie football? There's probably better things to click around.
Well, Pico de Goyo.
What was the height of this? Because I remember that lingerie football league. I know someone who played in it, actually.
Did they do a halftime of the Super Bowl where there was an alternative?
Oh, not on a different channel.
Yeah.
Puppy Bowl pregame, lingerie bowl at halftime.
You could flip over to the lingerie bowl, and EJ's right. It never seemed to take off.
I mean, I remember when I was at Sirius, there was a version of lingerie football because 3 of the women came to the Sirius studios. And, I mean, they were legitimate athletes. They also happened to be very attractive, and they tackled my coworker on the air, like bum rushed him as if he was a running back. That worked out well.
Do you know who's the current owner of the what was used to be the lingerie football league?
Antonio Brown.
You guys are not that far off, actually. Mike Ditka.
Oh, yeah, that
if
makes
this
sense.
Wikipedia page is correct.
But he...
Ditka, you dog you.
He owns, like, this works? Or he owns the idea of this? Like, this is a thing that exists? There are teams?
Yeah, so it's changed many names. Now it's just called the X League, which wonder why it's
Only
called
one
that.
X?
Only one X. And
Add
since
another
2021, the league is owned by Mike Ditka, according to Wikipedia.
At 85 years old. Apparently Dicka's eyesight's still good.
I'm very curious, by the way.
Or he doesn't know that he owns it.
I'm very,
took his money.
very
Someone
curious.
took his money. eBay Muzara's next.
It was either
next
crypto
venture.
or the lingerie league.
Bogusch, who are these tennis players and soccer players that you're tuning into?
Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Exactly.
Hyun-Min Son.
You said specifically women.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
No,
like,
I'm asking
Maria
for-
Sharapova looked beautiful while playing tennis. Anna Kournikova looked beautiful while playing tennis. Caroline Wozniacki looked beautiful while playing tennis.
You're misunderstanding my
Serena?
question. I'm asking you, who should I watch?
Oh, I can give you a list now, yeah.
Bro,
I
like,
did
send
notice.
me links.
Yeah.
I do notice that the women
Add me to
tennis
that email.
players are on a bit of a run right now.
For like 3 decades.
Yeah. A lot of Eastern European women.
My research on this suggests that it looks like they've now moved away from lingerie to wearing more normal uniforms. And maybe that's why Ditka now owns it.
He's trying to legitimize?
I think so.
Is that where we're going in society?
What are the ratings on that?
They describe it as a semi-pro league, so I can't imagine they're very high.
Actually, where Ditka is, I'm not sure. They legitimize Ditka at this point. I mean, Ditka.
Gosh.
Ditka's last few years in the media were an adventure.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't remember.
That's not a controversial thing. Ditka went off the rails at the end.
I'd have to refresh myself. I haven't thought about
Oh, yeah.
Dicka's media
He's
career in a
great.
while.
Mike Ditka, the actor from Kicking and Screaming?
Yeah, same guy. Manny, same guy.
The Will Ferrell vehicle.
Film.
When's the next time we get lingerie bowl? I feel like we're kind of trending that way in America. We're kind of, we're maybe in a little bit of a post-Me Too and now back to a little more TNA.
It's going to happen again because it keeps
It always
coming up.
does.
They keep bringing it back.
It's like an athlete racing an animal.
Yeah. It's honestly like spring football. Like
Yep.
they're going to keep thinking that it's a thing. It's just not a thing.
XFL 3.
GM Peter Schwartz.
Again, did we do any headline? That was the first one.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay.
I can tell you that the Rams, Real Football, have formally released Cooper Kupp, unable to trade him in his large cap hit. LA can spread $21 million dead cap money over this season and next. The Jets divorced linebacker C.J. Mosley yesterday for $4 million cap savings. Former Jets receiver Mike Williams returns to the Chargers, and the Seahawks signed fellow receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
I have a good idea for the next iteration of the lingerie league. I just thought of it. You guys were watching Dallas Cowboy cheerleader show. Perloff, you watched that. You said it was a good show.
Amazing.
It's not even about the league. It's about the tryouts. Do Hard Knocks and like some kind of tryout for
There
the
are already
women.
videos about that, Maggie.
It's over?
Never mind.
Oh, you mean like OnlyFans and like Instagram
Yeah, there's already
accounts?
naughty.
Yeah,
It's
by the
another,
way.
at the plumber. Oh, you got broken pipe. Oh, I'm here for football tryouts. That's all. It's all been
It's all
done.
the same plot?
Yeah.
Let's see you take a hike.
pizza's here.
I'm just saying it could be cool.
Spider Y2 Banana is a whole different meeting.
Yeah, I bet.
When they say get under center, Maggie, you're talking about something a little different here.
I understand, guys. I just think the build up to it is almost better than the actual thing. Like you weren't watching Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders to see them actually do the halftime show. Nobody cares about that. It was
No.
about the drama of who makes the team.
Yeah, it was really, really interesting to see the front office of the Cowboys operate. That was more about Jerry and his daughter. But this isn't Maggie, anyone under 73 years old is online watching real women do stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why the lingerie, nobody on earth cares about that because you have the entire world at your fingertips.
I get it. Well, this whole conversation started with the vulgar hat that somehow got through all of MLB's safety nets. It's a slang term for women's breasts. And I said, it's funny, you could actually see women's breasts for $0, yet you'll pay $1,000 for the funny hat.
And the lingerie league wants you to pay $10.99 for pay-per-view.
Ooh, they
of
need
the
play-by-play,
championship.
guys. How about this idea? What about barefoot football, Maggie? Get those,
Matt Collins?
get those size 9s out there
me?
for the guys to.
I'm not giving this away for free, Bogusch.
My dog.
What? Peter Schwartz will pay you
These
money.
dogs. A woman's foot league? Oh,
Dog.
now we're onto something.
I think so. That market has not been tapped yet. Barefoot football? with like
There's only cameras on the feet.
Exactly.
Caraco.
I'll see you guys from the Aaron Rodgers Malibu Beach. I'm going to be rolling in dough. Try to cash in off
Maggie's
these.
doing another remote show for California. What?
Cash in off these 2x4s.
Is she ever coming back?
You want more scores from me? The Thunder wrapped up their playoff spot, a 118-112 win in Boston. Oh, and the Knicks won in overtime in Portland. Mikal Bridges a 3 at the buzzer, 114-113.
It is March Madness season. Selection Sunday is going to be coming up in just a couple days. And we have one college coach who's talking crazy. We'll get into that next. Bogusch, thank you. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Maggie's got some giant feet. They're the talk of the town. When she walks the sidewalk cracks, she's bringing buildings down. She tried to buy some shoes, but they said no way. Now she's wearing boat sails just to get through the day. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on poles, creating legs for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on puddles, creating legs for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. So here's to Maggie and her feet so grand. She's the funniest girl in all the land. With her giant feet, she's never beat. Maggie's big feet make life so sweet. Oh, Maggie's big feet make life so sweet.
2 minutes remaining.
You're listening to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Sit back, relax, we got a break to go.
30 seconds remaining.
In just 5 minutes, we'll be back on air.
Oh, people, it's time to say so long. You grumbled and groaned, but we stayed strong. With your love for old shows and your curmudgeon charm, now you're off to Amy, and we're raising the alarm. Britain's people be better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to Amy Lawrence, where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right.
45 seconds
You
remaining.
offered to run the White Sox, what a plan. But running on show, you were our grumpy old man. With the NBA on NBC playing in your head, we'll carry on now without all that dread. Good riddance,
30
people,
seconds
be
remaining.
better off today. No more Three's Company or Alf in our way. Off to Amy Lawrence where you can grumble all night. The show will be smoother, everything will feel just right.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Pearl, I don't know if you've been paying attention at all to the SEC men's basketball tournament.
No.
Okay. Well, very quietly, which is interesting and ironic because nothing he does is quiet, but quietly, John Calipari has kind of salvaged this first season with the Arkansas Razorbacks. This was in danger of really going off the rails when they started off SEC play going 0-5. But meanwhile, Cal rebounded. They got their 20th win of the season in the first round game against South Carolina, which was a narrow win against South Carolina, probably a little tighter than he'd hoped. But now they got to 20 wins. They're definitely making the tournament, and they are going to play Ole Miss around 1 o'clock Eastern time today. But Cal had some really interesting quotes about the SEC tournament, most notably that he doesn't care about it.
I don't care about the conference tournament, which is why we won it so many times, because I could care less. The tournament that matters is the NCAA tournament. Now, you play that tournament to get the best seed you can get. And if you're going to get to the finals, win. Or don't go to the finals and lose because you're exhausted and you got to play on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'm like, let's play well and try to improve our seed.
Okay, more from Calipari clarifying the SEC tournament comments. This is like the next day, and why he thinks this takes the pressure off of his team.
Every tournament we go in, we're doing it for one reason. We want to win games to build up our seed. Now, along the way, for a guy that does not care about conference tournaments, I'm guessing it's 15 or 16. So if you don't care, the kids don't care, no one cares, then I'm a magician. So how about maybe you're taking the pressure off the kids? That this is just another thing for us to get better and improve ourselves.
Okay, so this is some real, like, coach mental gymnastics on your team, like some voodoo here. It's like, all right, we don't care about the conference tournament, but I would ask John Calipari if this strategy has been effective lately. Because if I go back to Kentucky in the last 3 tournaments, they exited in the first round, the second round, and the first round.
Yeah.
So if you are basically saying, I got no pressure on you for the conference tournament, well, does it double the pressure, triple the pressure when the actual NCAA tournament happens and guys get tight?
Well, I think his reasoning's right on. You can't play till Sunday. It's one of the ironic things. It's a huge handicap to play till Sunday in the conference tournament, right? That's what he's saying. So that's, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that he won all those SEC tournaments, then went out early. So he's worried about playing too long and using your legs up in the conference tournament. That's why. But it's funny, he said he didn't care about it, but then he went ahead and won it every year and ended up screwing his team over. So his thesis sounds dead on to me.
Well, unless you take a team like NC State, who had a run,
had to get in, right?
Had to get in, goes to the ACC tournament, wins it, and then ended up on a Final Four run.
I thought that was one of the one of the tournament bracket trends is the conference tournament winners are often ripe for upset. So, yeah, I mean, I think Calipari really thinks I do not want to be here long because I want to save my legs for the tournament, right? That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I guess
that sounds logical to me.
Yeah, that strategy is fine, especially because he's playing with a 7-man rotation right now with Arkansas because he's had injuries to our pal Boogie Fland and some others. I think that the part about it, though, is to say, I don't care about this.
Right.
And then the team goes out and plays well. It's like this. I think it's a mental approach that's my issue with it, because then the NCAA tournament, you're coming in with all the pressure in the world, and that's how you lose to FDU, or that's how you lose to St. Peter's. I mean.
And ironically, when he was winning, when he mentioned 15, 16, for those listening, he's saying that he won those years. They won 4 years in a row at one point in the SEC. But those years, he was playing with De'Aaron Fox and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah. Like, he was winning with those guys.
Anthony Davis.
So maybe it's a little different talking about the calculus then, where, all right, took pressure off guys. Well, he took pressure off for future NBA stars.
Right.
The guys
could
you're coaching
clearly
right
handle
now,
it.
right? The guys you're playing now, coaching now, haven't been those guys yet. So maybe a different approach is necessary.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But even those guys, after the title year, they often disappointed. I mean, I always laugh looking at the old Kentucky teams. The Devin Booker, Booker might have been good, but some of those teams were wildly disappointing considering the NBA talent they had. But lately, it's been a disaster. I mean, Calipari's run at the end, that's been one of the worst performing tournament teams. I think it's more the legs. I think you got to. I'd be curious how all the conference tournament, like, how does the Big Ten winner do every year? But I don't know. If he's already in, then I kind of agree with his thinking. Like, what difference does it make? Is it seeding?
I think there's something to be said, though, about, because I think about the struggles they've had in the tournament recently. Sometimes the conference tournament is good practice for game pressure, right? Like, you can't simulate being in a neutral site where maybe, especially if you're Calipari's teams, where teams are probably rooting more against you. You're a neutral site, the fans are turning in the middle of a game, and your team has to work through maybe tough environments, tough situations, weird environment. That's the kind of the whole point of the conference tournaments for the teams that are playing in these bigger conferences. If you're saying, well, this doesn't matter, do you then go into your first game against some of these teams that they've been getting upset? St. Peter's, the team that had the guy that was shooting all the shots, Oakland.
Yeah.
Like, do you go into those games, and because you didn't really simulate that game pressure in the conference tournament, are you not ready for those moments, would be my question.
Sorry, did they win those conference tournaments?
No, they've lost the last of my points that they've been losing. Like, they haven't done well in the conference tournament the last 3 years. So, and the last 3 years, 4 years is when they've been having these terrible first round exits.
Right.
Before, they would win a game or two at least.
I misunderstood that, because I thought he said that, hey, even if we do win, it doesn't really matter.
Well, he is saying that, but he was saying, I think Calipari was being kind of clever with the numbers, right? Because, again, in 15, 16, 17, when they're winning all those times, those are great teams. And yes, they did underachieve in the tournament sometimes, but they were at least winning a game or two. In recent years, they've been getting knocked out of the first round when he's been having this approach of not caring about the SEC tournament. That's why I asked, again, like, is it maybe you can not care when you have Anthony Davis? Maybe you should care when you got the guys you got at Arkansas this year.
I think I think you just end up putting more pressure on your guys for the tournament as if there's not enough. But, to be fair to Calipari, I think the real story of this year is that they have turned this season around, and kind of improbably, because they kept losing dudes to injury. And I'm not saying that they're going to be a championship team, but with a 7-man rotation and what looked like could have been a lost season, they are pretty battle-tested, clearly. They play in the toughest conference in the country. The SEC is gangbusters this year. And here's Cal, and they're probably going to be like a 10 seed is what they're projected to be right now.
That's what I'm so fascinated about with the SEC particularly, because it is
how are they gonna do?
By far the toughest conference. And do you get into that conversation of you guys are beating yourselves up so much that by the time you get to the NCAA tournament, do you not have anything left?
Yep.
Like, that's going to be because last year there were a lot of SEC teams we thought would go further. Auburn particularly, who struggled, and some of that might have been the attrition they took all last season.
I had Auburn in the final game last year, I think.
A lot of people did.
But there's so many of them this year. They're so good they're so tall and so good that somebody's got to get through here. I mean, if the entire SEC struck out, would that be the craziest thing ever?
I just think it'd be impossible. I
mean, I don't even think the brackets are going to let that happen. There are going to be so many high seeds out of that conference.
How many people, though, are going to look at Calipari and think, just for the star power alone, the resume, pencil him into the Elite Eight or something?
I wonder if people fade him. I mean, fading him would be a better thing in terms of recent history than actually putting them to go far.
We've got a huge question for you about March Madness. Not John Calipari, but about March Madness. 855-212-4227. It's the Maggie Perloff Show. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Who has been the biggest college basketball star of the last 20 years? Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're all excited, Pearl, because March Madness is almost here. Selection Sunday is this Sunday. And, tip of the cap to our pal Matt Norlander for this. He wrote a list of the 25 biggest stars of college basketball on the men's side of the last 25 years. And not to give away Matt's thing or just be a take on a take, but he had Zion Williamson as number one. Think about it. The biggest college basketball star of the last 25 years is Zion Williamson, a guy who was exciting at Duke, but all of it ultimately succumbed to injuries. And, I mean, if the goal is to win championships if you're with Duke, then you never got close to that.
Right. I mean, I think it actually fits a guy like him would be the answer here because it is a one-and-done millennium so far. You have to go look at it. I'll bet you half this list is freshmen. Because if you're good enough nowadays, you only stay in college 1 year. So basically, you're not going to get a lot of champions, I would assume. I would assume you have some that stay, but I think most of this list is guys who were these brilliant flashes, like Cooper Flagg is right now at Duke. At least a lot of it, because that's who we want to see, right? The biggest players, the best players leave.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you're talking about college basketball's biggest stars, not who also went to the NBA and were stars,
right,
but just college basketball, I think you do have to stick around a few more years because the audience has to get a little bit more familiar with you. You're only going to have so many Anthony Davises or Carmelo Anthonys who do 1 year, win the title, and kind of have this storybook thing. To me, the answer of who is the biggest star, we're not saying the best player, who's the biggest star of men's college basketball over the last 25 years, I think the answer is J.J. Redick. Because here's what J.J. had. J.J. was also incredibly polarizing in carrying on the tradition of guys like Christian Laettner and others. Zion was kind of like 100% approval rating. Everyone sort of liked him. Flashy dunks. Redick kind of got under your skin. Redick played a lot of games at Duke, ups and downs at Duke, and I think he was the biggest star of the last 25 years.
I hear what you're saying, maybe, but I mean, he may be more recognizable, but you had to watch Zion games. I don't think the same you have to watch J.J. Redick play thing existed. When Zion played those Duke games, it was this brief flurry of relevance for the college basketball regular season that we haven't seen since, and I don't think we saw in the years before it. Remember Obama went to a game? It was a Jeremy Lin like phenomenon when Zion was at Duke.
Well,
it was brief, but it was a burst like we have. I mean, there's nothing like that. Cooper Flagg has a little bit of that, but generally we haven't seen a star like that draw eyeballs.
Yeah, I don't want to use. I remember when Obama went to the Zion game because he famously blew out his shoe. Remember, and he got hurt, and he basically didn't play in the game. But I also remember when Bill Clinton came to GW to watch Marcus Camby. So, play as the opponent for UMass when they came in an A-10 battle. Just having the president show up is not the biggest sign, the number one sign.
Oh, but they had huge ratings on ESPN for those games. Everybody was tuning in. I remember that season. We did a lot of content on the Zion games. Were a huge deal.
Yeah, I know, but if you had been doing Dan Patrick Show in 2002, 2003, I think you would have been talking about Redick just as much.
No, Redick was that. I mean, Zion was something we've never seen before. Redick was one of a lineage of Duke guys we hated.
We're asking who's been the biggest college basketball star over the last 25 years. Again, not the best. The best is, we could probably do an Anthony Davis, or that's a different kind of conversation. We're just talking about star power.
Well, the thing is also Redick was not as big a factor as Zion. What was Redick's score? Zion had the best.
JJ led the nation in scoring.
Yeah.
Wait, how many points did he score?
He was scoring
26.8.
Yeah, I was looking at it here.
His last year.
Zion, I saw, had the highest WAR of any college basketball player that year, and maybe I think ever.
JJ Redick at Duke was him. I'm not. I don't.
But did they
NBA
win?
Career.
No,
they lost in this Elite Eight, I think.
I mean, Zion was the best player in the country.
UConn, and then they lost again to
LSU.
Yeah.
Zion, I remember his advanced metrics were so far ahead of any player who ever stepped on a college basketball court except for Lou Alcindor. Like, Zion was unbelievable.
Okay, but you're talking about advanced metrics. We're asking who was the biggest star.
Yeah.
You're giving me WAR. This is a feeling, This is
right. But Zion was obviously so famous from the YouTube videos and the dunks. That's the thing about Zion is I thought his fame actually went way further than his basketball ability because he's so fun to watch.
I'll give you that. 855-212-4227. I think it's definitely Reddick. You agree with Matt Norlander that it's Zion is the most famous college basketball player over the last 25 years?
You know, the name that jumped in my head immediately was Carmelo, but I honestly don't remember what he was like before the tournament. So I can't. That was 2003 was the tournament year, because he's the freshman who won it all. Carmelo jumped to mind first. To me, Reddick was part of the whole Trajan Langdon, J.J. Reddick, Woj. All those guys got a little bit mixed in for me. Zion was spectacular. It was, as Jay Billis said, he was a dancing bear who could dunk the basketball. I've never seen anything like Zion.
So you're going to say Zion. I'm going to say J.J. Reddick. Again, we're looking at our pal Matt Norlander wrote a piece about the biggest stars in college basketball. What about the guys who are like, all we know them for is college basketball? So I'm giving you the Tyler Hansboroughs and the Adam Morrisons.
Psycho T.
And the guys who, like J.J. Reddick now is the head coach of the Lakers. Like there's a lot more with Reddick. He played, 15 years in the NBA or whatever. So there's a lot more there. The just college guys, the Jimmer Fredetts, and again, Tyler Hansboroughs, the Adam Morrisons. Do you think they would actually be the bigger college stars because you don't associate them with anything else?
Hansbrough, because he was at North Carolina, probably stands out of that list of guys you said to me. And remember, he came back and won the title. That was a big deal. He felt like a throwback to the 80s because he played so much college basketball and he scored so many points. So I would say Hansbrough, I remember, felt like a big part of college basketball. Morrison was awesome. But just the North Carolina of this, I would put him Psycho T a little bit ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzaga's a huge program, but not clearly on the level of North Carolina in
right,
terms
and
of
actually,
history and such.
They weren't quite as huge before. Morrison kind of helped make them huge.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No doubt. 855-212-4227. EJ, you got one?
You didn't mention Steph yet.
So Steph Curry on Matt's list is number 8.
That's too low. Respect to Matt, but that's way too low to me. He was a phenomenon. Like, I think some of the stuff that Perloff saying about Zion, which is true, I feel like that Steph March Madness run is still one of the more famous runs ever.
But Davidson,
he's got 2 runs.
But he was famous beyond that. It didn't really matter to me. He was beyond Davidson, and to me that makes you a bigger star. If you transcend your school, that's kind of why maybe I'm partial to Adam Morrison. Like, if you transcend your school and you still become a national powerhouse, that to me it means you're a bigger star than anything, right? Like, anybody could be a star at Duke or North Carolina, these schools, Kentucky. If you can be Davidson, be a face of college basketball, which people forget, he stayed for another year and played another season of college basketball after that, and he was a big star his second year there too. So, Steph being 8 was the part I was like, I think he should be. He's in the class to me to be maybe number 1.
But I'm not sure it actually works like that because who's the biggest star in college basketball right now?
Cooper Flag.
And it's not even close. And he's at Duke, so I think being at Duke actually makes you a bigger star. Even though EJ's right, it just being in that program gives you star power, but that's who Duke is so far and away the one team everybody wants to watch. It's not even close. It's not even a close second.
But see, you could say the other part is to stand out at Duke.
Yeah.
You have to be so much more famous than everyone else because there's a difference between, the J.J. Reddicks and the, Mike Dunleavys and then the, Nolan Smiths.
No, what I'm saying is, but we look at this list. The reality is most of them are Duke players. You have J.J. Redick, I have Zion, and Cooper Flag is high up this list. Cooper Flag's the only guy that everybody knows when he's playing in this conference tournament. He's playing at noon today, and that is getting a lot of hype. Like, people want to see Cooper Flag.
So the question is, who's been the biggest college basketball star over the last 25 years? Now, we're talking about the men's side. Obviously,
there's no doubt.
Side.
The real answer is obvious.
Well, I mean, CC is done something
by 100-fold.
Nobody really has done. Although I would say Diana Taurasi was really freaking famous. I mean, she was and still is a household name for sports fans. I mean, I think she would deserve to be on this list too, no? Of all the UConn stars, like Diana Taurasi over the last 25 years is a no-doubter. You could say she's the biggest star.
Yeah, but she's not in the same. I don't think she's in the same ballpark as Caitlin Clark.
Well, just because she came earlier.
No, I don't see it that way. I think Caitlin Clark was a phenomenon that is singular. Diana Taurasi, I mean, did she elevate the entire college game like Caitlin?
I mean, I think Diana Taurasi was the most famous women's player since probably Cheryl Miller and Lisa Leslie.
Right. But
without a doubt.
Caitlin was the Michael Jordan of the sport. She totally moved the needle in a unique way.
But in many ways, you could argue that, Caitlin is really taking the mantle from Diana Taurasi.
I don't think so.
Who was more famous since Diana Taurasi?
No, I think Caitlin's a whole different thing. I've never seen a male or women. I mean, Caitlin's so famous, it's ridiculous.
I see what you're saying. I'm saying women's basketball fans would say that. Diana's considered the GOAT by a lot of people.
But she didn't cross over like Caitlin did.
No, she didn't. 855-212-4227. All right, we're asking, who is the biggest college basketball star of the last 25 years? John's in Rochester, New York. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Yeah, I was going to say Angel and Caitlin because their rivalry was watched globally.
Yeah.
And Caitlin at one point was the most popular woman athlete on earth.
I think she is holds that. No
yeah,
doubt.
By the way, Angel's more popular than Taurasi ever was. That's not even close because of where the sport is. I mean, I don't think Taurasi was doing McDonald's ads. Like, Angel's on 3 ads a game.
No, I know. She's on all the time. John, thanks for the call. What's interesting about doing this on the men's side is that there is not, I'm looking at these, the most famous guys to play college basketball over the last 25 years. There's not obvious rivalries. I mean, when it's Duke North Carolina, but that was J.J. Redick versus everybody, and I think he was the biggest star. That, he couldn't go into any, opposing arena without being like the number one target.
Yeah, people loved hating on him. But it wasn't just him. It was a lot of Duke guys who would have those signs.
Like Kevin Durant is on this list, okay?
Yeah, that was a great run there at the end for him. 1
year. Who and a flame out in the tournament. Who was Kevin Durant? Like, he didn't have a rival. I don't remember Melo having a specific rival.
I mean, Durant's rival was Odin. That was the thing. Who's better, Odin or Durant?
But but not like Caitlin and Angel where they played each other.
They didn't play each other. That was the only issue.
Is Odin on this list? He was great before. Remember when
Greg
he played with
Oden
that broken hand? That was so cool. It was like a pro wrestler. I mean, the funny thing is, too, I'd like to see the 25 years before because then you had bigger stars. I mean, 25 years, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Chris Webber, Christian Laettner.
Right.
It's hard.
We're just doing since 2000.
Yeah, no, but my original point was this list is defined by the one and done era. You just don't. You have guys who flashed, like Kevin Durant. This is not I was around for 3 years and had multiple Final Four runs. There are a lot of guys on here who only played 1 year.
No, but
can I mention one guy real quick?
No, there are guys who played a lot of years. Frank Kaminsky is on this list.
Oh, Kaminsky.
Jameer Nelson is on this list.
Oh, wow.
Where's Derrick Rose? Because he was a big star, too.
Yeah, he should be on here.
Derrick Rose is not on this list.
He should be on the list.
That seems like a mistake, yeah.
Which is funny because Michael Beasley is on this list, and I feel like were they
former Nick?
Same year,
right?
I mean, Beasley. What did Beasley do?
Wait, hold on. I just want to
double Kansas State. Was he that good?
He was really good at Kansas State, yes. But
okay, so this is Matt Norlander's list of the top 25 athletes, and we're kind of nitpicking it. So thank you, Matt, for the idea. The toughest decision he says was the final cut was Derrick Rose. So he's not on the list. Buddy Hield's not on the list. Shabazz Napier's not on the list. Now Shabazz Napier, that was a whole other out of nowhere, and then just this run to
argue for Derrick Rose. I mean, Derrick Rose went to the NBA and then signed a massive deal immediately with Adidas. That a deal that he still was reaping the benefits off of. I mean, he was seen as a future NBA star. Like he was. I don't know.
Yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, I would have had him over Frank Kaminsky. You kidding me?
Trey Young on this list. It's a good list.
Trey Young over Derrick Rose.
Jalen Brunson's on the list. I mean, at least he won a title.
Jalen Brunson over Derrick Rose?
Yeah. Dougie McBuckets is on the list. He was a big star. He's on the cover of
former Knicks. Oh, my goodness.
Emeka Okafor.
Oh, here's one. Marshall Henderson, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That guy was crazy.
We were talking about Marshall Henderson like 2 days ago,
We've been talking about Marshall Henderson for like a week now. It's so bizarre that he came up finally.
Where do you think he is? Kemba Walker is 10. I think he could have been even higher.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, Derrick Rose was in the final game. That's crazy.
And an epic game.
And famously, choked. It was a big deal. I'm not surprised. I would be curious what Matt's thought process was on Derrick Rose.
I'm going to drag him in front of these firing squad here, Matt. What's the deal? 855-212-4227. We're talking who is the biggest college basketball star of the last 25 years. Brent is in Seattle. Good morning, Brent.
Yes, good morning. Maggie, Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi are good friends, and they're UConn stars together. I would say that Sue Bird is equally as famous as Diana Taurasi, and yes, there's no doubt that Caitlin Clark is really famous and really popped. But I don't understand. Kelsey Plum went to the University of Washington. She was the number one all-time leading scorer in NCAA history before Caitlin broke it. She was the number one overall draft pick. She was on the Olympic team. I don't understand why she also happens to like men. She was married to a former Oakland Raider and
Darren Waller,
and, New York Giants.
Yep.
Yeah, Darren Waller.
But we're talking about
why.
No, Brent, I get it. Sue Bird, professional career in Seattle, love her. Kelsey Plum, a local here, college hero in Seattle. I understand it, but we're talking about the biggest stars, and I think Kelsey Plum is a big star.
They are big stars nationally.
They are, but they're not bigger than Caitlin, and even you would say that.
Right.
I don't know why Sue Bird. Why Kelsey Plum did not pop like Caitlin did, because Kelsey Plum did everything in college that Caitlin did.
I think Caitlin was I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're in Seattle, but Caitlin was a little further back from the 3-point line. Could you see that possibly style of play?
Yes. Still 3 points.
It's kind of like Steph, but it's a little like Steph Curry. She had this Steph Curry thing. I think it was, we also agree.
Yes, Amy Lawrence used to tell me that.
Yeah. Brent, thank you for the phone call. Thanks for checking in. Don't be a stranger. Sue Bird on the same level as Diana Taurasi?
Totally. But she's got a famous marriage. Yeah,
with Megan Rapinoe.
No, Sue Bird's fame out is even bigger than her play. But I do agree with you. All these people set the stage for Caitlin Clark. Caitlin came along at the right time. Kelsey Plum might not have.
Well, I mean, she wasn't that far off. It's not like they're different generations. But I think you're right about Kelsey, because she's a dead-eye shooter. She's attractive. She's got all the things that go into stardom. Phenomenal player. I think you're right, though. Caitlin was kind of pulling up from the logo.
Oh, yeah. Caitlin's style of play was what really put her over the top.
Yeah. I mean, Kelsey's a huge star.
I think Washington not getting a little bit further in the tournament also probably hurt Kelsey a little bit.
Caitlin's playing. They upset South Carolina.
They were national championship game back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Caitlin, Kelsey, Final Four and Sweet 16, not the same, right?
I do think, and tell me if you guys agree, Sue Bird's got a celebrity thing that is a little different. She makes a lot of commercials.
I think it's now. But I think it's more now.
But Diana Taurasi might not have.
Diana has some commercials too. Definitely.
But Sue Bird, I'm saying Diana was a better player, but Sue Bird is maybe more comfortable as a celebrity. She's really good on TV.
She's more palatable. I mean, Diana will curse out people. Like
Diana's way too honest to be.
Yeah.
I think ESPN gets nervous when Diana's doing the second screen because she does not mess around.
I think if we did a list, though, the top 25 most famous women's college basketball players, I think Diana would be higher than Sue Bird.
I agree.
But again, like, who would you be if you're a marketer right now? Sue Bird is a big deal.
Right, but she's also in her post-playing career. So is Diana. But anyway, we're asking the most famous and biggest star of college basketball. We're doing this on the men's side, but you're welcome to weigh in on the women's side as well. 855-212-4227. Perloff thinks Zion Williamson. I think J.J. Redick. What say you? Again, since 2000, the biggest college basketball star. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We are discussing the top 25 college basketball players of the last 25 years, so since 2000.
No, stars.
Stars.
Not players.
Right, good distinction. Stars.
Stars, not best of the best, just biggest.
CBS's Matt Norlander put out a list. He had Zion Williamson number one, and I was looking at some Zion Williams stuff. Got into a side debate, who is the most talented player ever to go to Duke? And everyone thinks Zion, possibly Grant Hill, pretty talented.
Isn't saying Zion's the most what'd you say, the most talented
Most
player?
talented.
That is being so prisoner of the moment, is it not?
Well, I mean, the stuff that Zion did at Duke was unprecedented. The stuff Grant Hill did at Duke was unprecedented. Paolo Banchero was obviously very talented. Just not obviously Christian Laettner is the greatest Duke player ever. Nobody's going to argue that. But he wasn't as talented as we're talking about pure basketball talent. I mean, Zion, Grant Hill, Paolo.
Jay Williams was
Jay Williams
talented as a guard.
Yeah, all the guys who went 1 or 2 in the draft.
Right.
Oh, Kyrie Irving went to Duke, didn't he?
Kyrie Irving,
Talent.
very talented.
He only played 11 games there.
I mean, Zion went
Still
number
went
1
there.
overall. All these guys are in the list, but at Duke, Zion was ridiculous. He won 13 for 13 one game, has the highest WAR in the history of college basketball. He was really good, obviously, for a freshman, too. That's the thing. Some of these guys played a lot longer.
Yeah, we're asking who's the biggest star of college basketball over the last 25 years. I actually think it's J.J. Redick. I think he was so hated and loved by Duke, hated by everyone else or whatever, the polarizing part of it, and the fact that he was there for a lot longer. You know, Redick having a 15-year NBA career is kind of an upset. I think you believed that he was going to be a bigger college star than an NBA star, and obviously now he's the head coach of the Lakers, so it's a different stratosphere, but I think it's definitely JJ. We saw Tyler Hansborough. Let's go to Ben in California, who's got a good one. Ben, the biggest college star of the last 25 years was who?
I'm going to go with Jimmer Fredette as a Sacramento Kings fan.
Jimmer Fredette is a good one. I don't think he's the biggest, but he belongs on the list, that's for sure. I remember, Perloff, the Dan Patrick Show, you guys had like a love for Jimmer Fredette.
We got Jimmer late in his career when he was in China. That was the thing. We never had him on at BYU. Dan was fascinated by the fact that Jimmer Fredette couldn't make an NBA team and was playing overseas.
I get the fascination. I mean, Jimmer, and think about what's stacked up against Jimmer, you know, to be playing at BYU, like not a traditional basketball powerhouse. You know, that's not Duke or North Carolina. And he was a big star.
Kid from New York as well.
Yeah, he's from upstate New York.
Felt like his timing was a little bit off because it became much more of a three-point league sort of right at the end. He was drafted in 2011. Yeah, and really high, too.
17th, right?
10 overall.
No, 10th.
10 overall. How come, I mean, everybody needs three-point shooting. How could Jimmer Fredette, he must have been so bad on defense, but how could he not stick?
That's the thing.
He could not guard a chair.
But Steph Curry is
Steph Curry
not
doesn't
awesome
really
on
do it. Yeah,
defense.
but he's not Steph Curry on offense.
Yeah, he's respectable. He can't. I mean, Jimmer. I mean, the Knicks tried him out. Like a lot of teams have.
Yeah.
So like,
I thought he played for the Knicks. Didn't he?
Former Nick. Jimmer
Played
Fredette,
2
that's
games.
right.
Played 2 games. Wow.
I watched him play in person at in the G League because I'm just a G League savant, and he couldn't guard anybody.
What about Buddy Hield? Buddy Hield, the better version of a Jimmer Fredette? Obviously better pro career, but
Jimmer was, I think, more fun because Jimmer was more of a point guard. He was a little shorter, so he's doing it more off the dribble. Like he's coming up and pulling from half. Like he felt more like Steph Curry 2.0 than I think Buddy did.
Right.
Yeah, like a wing player almost.
So Jimmer Fredette on Matt's list is number 9.
Massive star, and I think that there's a novelty factor too. You mentioned BYU, white kid,
Yeah.
Jimmer.
threes. His name is Jimmer.
Yeah,
like
funky
it's
name.
A lot. Honestly, there's some like Caitlin Clark. I think like similarities.
Definitely.
To be honest.
A little great white hope type of stuff.
He averaged 28.9 points a year as a senior. Was the AP Player of the Year. Shot 40% from 3. Yeah, those numbers should translate to the NBA.
Can I give you guys somebody who we have not mentioned yet? Because I think just a little bit too much time has passed. And even though this is only the last 25 years, so you would think you can't be prisoner of the moment when we're only talking about 25 years.
LeBron James.
His stellar college career, Manny. We must have missed that one. Joakim Noah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So famous.
Definitely.
Comes back to Florida, back-to-back champs. I mean,
Famous parents, definitely.
I
No
feel
doubt.
like that Florida back-to-back title run was a real kind of a low point for college basketball.
Totally
because college basketball is run by the Duke, North Carolina thing, and then you have this football school out of the SEC with Al Horford and Joakim Noah. I'll bet you that was not the highest rated
but Billy
run.
Donovan was their coach. He's a basketball, he's so associated with college hoops that
I don't think that
has
Florida
to factor
team,
in.
I don't think it really fascinated America. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Joakim Noah was extremely famous.
Yes.
It got to the point where his second year, he was like he was JJ Redick, right? They're going on the road, they're getting all these signs and people talking about his parents. Like that, he had the whole experience, but did it at Florida.
What number is he on the list? 9, you said?
No, Joakim Noah
7.
is 7.
Okay.
So nestled in between Steph Curry and Kevin Durant.
I just remember PTI, not that they're like the end all be all. They were obsessed with Joakim Noah during that era. It was they talked about him. It seemed like every day.
Probably because Tony and Michael Owen probably loved Yannick.
Yeah, they probably interviewed him. They probably had dinner with him.
French Open champ.
Very good friends with him.
Probably wanted to meet the mom. Was she Miss Universe or Miss?
Yeah, she's a very beautiful woman.
Miss Sweden.
Oh, is that right? Why does Joakim look like that then?
Oh, Manny.
Wow.
Well, what did I say?
Ouch. You don't think that Joakim Noah is a handsome guy?
No, not at all.
Joakim Noah's from New York. I know he's a bad Nick, but we can't
He was
diss New York.
awful. My God.
Well, he
I
said he was
know.
too lit for New York.
Yeah, but he's a New Yorker. We can't diss him like that.
Well,
He's also not bad looking, Manny. Don't be salty.
I don't know.
He's bad looking, man. You're right.
I listen.
You guys
when
have
I see,
weird tastes.
When I see a good looking dude, I say I go up to that person and say, "You're a good looking dude." So, and I would not do that with Joakim Noah. Respectfully.
Who's the last person you went up to and said, you're a good looking dude? Woj? Sort of a nerd look.
Andrew Bogusch this morning. Thank you.
Bogusch. That's not awkward.
It's
Nice compliment.
It's interesting looking at the ratings for like those Florida. They're a little down. To Pearl's point.
Well, I mean, they're not a basketball powerhouse, so, you know.
Those national championship
And also,
games,
what happened to that team after that little run?
That was kind of the end.
Well, Billy Donovan left.
Well, he was about to leave. Remember, he's supposed to be the Orlando Magic coach.
Oh, yes, and he backed out.
He backed out of the deal and came back to Florida, which was
Right.
a mistake on his part.
And then he went to OKC,
He
right?
could have had Dwight Howard. I don't know what he was thinking.
Who do they play those 2 years?
Played Ohio State in 1 year, and they played UCLA.
Was that
so? The other problem was these were kind of blowouts too. That didn't help. Like they crushed UCLA. I remember that. And Ohio State game was like more competitive. Greg Oden was in it, so you would have thought that would have got a huge number. It was like I think average among that era.
That's a Jordan Farmer UCLA team?
Kevin Love?
Kevin Love, Russell Westbrook.
Oh my goodness.
I honestly think Duke and Kentucky run the sport. They're like the Yankees and
Dodgers.
You need those teams in there. To me, I obviously every somewhat casual fan puts Duke in the Final Four, right? That's the team.
Well,
it's the it team.
Probably going to be the top overall seed.
And you're
in
wearing
this
Duke
year's
colors
tournament.
today.
Well,
I see.
Not on purpose. Get dressed in the dark.
I keep trying to say I think Duke's going to do something this year, but
I mean, it's trending that way. They've been getting better and better.
that ACC is so bad.
They
Also,
have the
they're-
best player in the country.
My thinking only on Duke is freshmen.
Right,
You
that's
know,
the other
star
thing, too.
freshman Duke teams, star freshman Kentucky teams, their best two players are their two highest scorers freshmen. That's not usually a formula. You get those old Villanova teams.
Yeah, but he could be a generational talent like Melo, and then you're just the best player in the tournament.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That's
Anthony
true.
Davis too.
Anthony Davis, same. Okay, 855-212-4227. Who is the biggest college basketball star of the last 25 years? Let us know. What's up, Bogues?
Guys, just after a 2-game visit from the Nuggets, the Thunder more NBA elite last night playing in Boston.
Shea with 8 to shoot. Angling left on the perimeter. Crossing over. Twice. Darting right. Pulls up. Fades. Fires. 15-foot jumper. Rolls in. Gilgeous-Alexander's got 32. Maybe finishing touches tonight, baby. 1 minute to play. Thunder by 10. 115-105.
Mid-range forever. SGA 30.
Sean Gilgeous-Alexander.
4 more points in this 118-112 win. OKC clinching a playoff spot with its 17th victory in its last 18 games. The highlight from Matt Pinto on Thunder Radio. The Celtics, by the way, took a team record 63 threes in this loss.
Damn.
Mark Jones called him. Was it Mark Jones who did the game last night on TV?
I think so,
And
yes.
he called him the chairman of the MIDI committee. Anyone?
Oof.
I'll pass.
Back to you.
I actually was surprised that Bogusch because mid-range forever. Was that a Bogusch original or is that something he said?
That was making fun of you
for
hating SGA so much.
Yes.
You guys, I say one negative thing about SGA and you guys are trying. I can't enjoy SGA.
One a day?
I don't hate SGA. That's crazy.
I think you called him bad for basketball.
Oh, my God. You guys are just looking to pin something on me that ain't there.
No, I'm pretty sure those were your words. That nobody wants to watch that.
Well, obviously they want LeBron in the finals. I mean, if
No,
Silver's
yours was about
running-
the style of play.
Yeah, there was a conversation about who wants to see SGA mid-ranges in the finals.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with that, but I think he's a fantastic.
It's your opinion, so I hope you'd agree.
But he's a
Who
great.
said that? Smart
he's a
guy.
great player. I'm definitely picking the Thunder to win the title this year, though. But
now you're doing this. Now you.
It was only a matter of time, EJ.
I'm just saying, I'm
Look
not.
at Manny.
Trust me, it'll be the lowest rated final in 10 years, but the Thunder are coming there.
Not if it's against the Celtics or the Knicks.
Yeah,
I still think it'll be lower rated. Do you think Thunder Celtics will be a huge one?
I think Boston or New York pulls up the rating for sure.
I don't know. I don't see America being so into Thunder Celtics, but maybe.
What else we got?
Moving on. Gentlemen named A.J. Lawson, Jared Roden, and Orlando Robinson combined for 78 points last night to lead the Raptors past the Sixers, 118-105.
Who the hell are these people?
I don't know. The Raptors, like their three best guys were out last night, so these dudes played.
Yeah, this is the part of the season where you start seeing like, oh, that guy, where did he play school? And it's like, George Mason.
It's Lamar University.
There you go, Lamar.
Hey, almost had McNeese. Had him on the ropes.
The T-Wolves a 115-95 victory in Denver. They've taken all three matchups with the Nuggets this season. And Suns Rockets got a little interesting second quarter last night.
Ooh, Phoenix turning the corner. Jalen Green just turned around, knocked it down, and now Plumlee and Adams get locked up with one another. That's the last guy you want. He takes him down. And Plumlee ends up on top of Steven Adams. It's like a sumo wrestling match out there.
A little wrestling on Space City Sports something or other.
It's a good call, though.
Yeah.
I like the play-by-play there.
And that's Matt Thomas. Two big dudes, Steven Adams, Mason Plumlee, tackling each other. By rule, apparently, that qualifies as a fight, so they were ejected. The Rockets went on to win the game 111-104.
Yeah, my girth is rather large.
For a 4-game win streak.
That was some big, meaty men slapping meat right there.
Put them in lingerie.
7 feet tall, baby.
Oh, God. Steven Adams in lingerie.
Probably look kind of great.
Good day, mate.
He is jacked. By the way, that fight, Steven Adams, he put your hands on you, you're not going anywhere.
You like my lingerie, mate?
Plumlee learned the hard way.
Yeah, that was a bad decision by Mason Plumlee.
Not smart at all.
I don't think it was his decision.
No,
Adams kind of locked him up.
He said he was trying to push back because he thought Adams was being too physical, so he was trying to send some kind of message. Send it to somebody else.
I was really surprised. It's the first time Steven Adams has ever been ejected from a game.
Nobody tries him. Plumlee was the first guy that was stupid enough to do it.
Dumb enough to try it.
The Cowboys traded for Titans linebacker Kenneth Murray Jr. yesterday, plus Bills corner Kyer Elam. The Niners are signing Mac Jones to back up Brock Purdy, and the
Commanders
have re-signed their backup QB, Marcus Mariota. Dad joke. It sounds unpatriotic. American fighting the Navy last night in men's college basketball.
Panini can't answer. Rodgers with the rebound. Outlet for Mayock. Mayock, a 3-on-1 break to the rim. No, Rodgers put back 2-hand slam. And he flexes his muscles to the stands. 20-point lead for American. Largest lead of the night. Timeout called by Navy.
That's Pat McCarthy on Westwood One. Matt Rodgers scored 25. American cruising to a 74-52 win in the Patriot League final. The Eagles dancing for the first time since 2014. First time since 2019 for Montana. 91-83 winners over Northern Colorado in the Big Sky finale. And McNeese took care of Lamar 63-54 to win the Southland Auto bid for the second straight year. Plus, from the NHL, Vancouver, a 4-3 win in a shootout in Calgary, tying those Flames for the last wild card spot out west. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you. We're asking who's the biggest college basketball star of the last 25 years? Men's side, women's side? You can let us know. 855-212-4227. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show. Be right back.
That was some big, meaty men slapping meat.
You're in a 5-minute break.
His Niners can't defend. They're letting every team score, never seems to end. From the Bay to the city, San Francisco's looking rough. But the real question is, what's being Bellotti? It's tough. All the Rex teams are all out of luck, but Peter Bellotti, he's nowhere. What the heck? Forget the defeat, fans. Forget the end zone, 'cause finding Bellotti's like finding the unknown. The Warriors ain't winning, the Giants fall apart. The Niners can't tackle, it's breaking Greg's heart. But while they miss tackles and while they drop throws, where in the world Peter Bellotti goes, nobody knows. Teams are all out of luck, but Peter Marty's a Raiders fan, silver and black. Watches Maggie and Perloff, never off track. He's cheering from Vegas all season long, but there's a twist in this song that's gone wrong. Oh, Peter Bloody, where did you go? Oh, yo. L.O. Man, he's got a wiffle bat swinging with flair. Behind the glass, he's waving it in the air. That bat's bright yellow, could do some harm. If he's not careful, it'll raise the alarm. EJ sitting close, looking a bit tense. He knows one wrong move could be at his expense. Man, he swings wild like he's aiming to score. EJ's ducking low, getting ready to hit the floor. Oh, maybe put that bat away. Someone's bound to get hurt today. Peter Bellatti's missing again. So much for counting on our old friend. Man, he's in the zone like he's up at the plate. But one wrong swing and it could seal EJ's fate. The yellow bat's twirling.
Oh, Peter Bellatti's pissed as hell. Giselle's had a baby, didn't fucking tell. Kept Tom in the dark like he's some fool. But Peter's real problem isn't work like it's cool. He's bitching and moaning about Giselle's shit, but his own damn job he can barely commit. Doesn't give a fuck about Brady's kid, cause Peter's always gone just like he hit.
Amy Lawrence in her power, but wait, hold up, no seat in sight. Her chair is gone this quiet night. Odyssey's finest, infinity's pride. Now Amy's
1 minute,
pacing,
30 seconds
no place
remaining.
to slide.
Manny's desk is a circus, it's a sight to see. Got a coffee tower teetering dangerously. Strange brews from who knows where, with labels all in code. One smells like gasoline, another like a toad.
Andrew Perloff loves his turtle, call it chill shot bliss. He feeds it kale and lettuce, then gives it a little kiss. Andrew Bogusch's turtles got a mansion in the tank, with a slide, a tiny hammock, and a treasure chest bank. Two-tone Tony rolls in, his turtles got swag. Cruising slow but steady, repping that reptile flag. Meanwhile, Kevin Lamel's got tacos on his plate. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he's got no time to wait. Turtle love, taco dreams, Andrew and Andrew living supreme. Two-ton Tony, slow and steady crew. Kevin's got breakfast tacos, what's Peter gonna do?
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. All right, how about this? So hundreds of fans, Perloff, lining up 10 deep to try to catch a glimpse of Shohei Ohtani as the Dodgers and the Cubs have both arrived in Japan now because they're going to be playing this Japanese series before like opening day in America. And how bad is this? This is a bad job by whoever made this decision. I don't know if it's the Dodgers. I don't know if it was like a security thing. But you had hundreds of people, according to the Associated Press, who showed up just for a glimpse of Shohei Ohtani. And instead of like having him wave to the fans or, heaven forbid, come out and sign autographs, they actually like squirreled him away in this secret exit. And the fans who showed up and waited there for hours never even got a chance to see him. That's all they wanted, was to lay eyes on him and show support. He's like the most famous person basically in the country. And they couldn't even give like a Shohei Ohtani presidential wave from the plane. That's a bad job. You're going all the way to Japan because you want this Japanese market to be what? Buying the Ohtani jerseys and, you want to lean into this. Don't you have to make him I'm not saying he has to go and give everyone his home phone number, but wave to the crowd? That's too much to ask?
So wait,
I'm bummed.
Yeah. I just feel like this doesn't feel like a bad job out of you take on the Japanese fans lining up to see Shohei.
No, it's not the fans.
I just feel,
not the fans. The fans showed
No,
up because they
I mean
want
out
to
of
see
Shohei.
him.
I don't know.
It's not even, whether it was Shohei, whether it was the Dodgers, whether it was the people at the Japan airport. I don't know who it is, but whoever was in charge of this decision, bad job out of you.
Well, I just wonder what it's like, because I know when Kobe used to go out to Asia, it'd be some crazy, crazy scenes that I'm not sure exactly what the situation was. Maybe it would have been just too wild if Shohei had come out. And also hundreds. I would feel he could draw thousands in the right. He's so wildly popular.
Okay, you're 10 deep at the airport. I mean, going to the airport sucks, especially if you're not getting on a plane. Just to go there, this is one person quoted by the Associated Press said, "We just came to be able to breathe the same air, the Ohtani air." He can't wave from the plane. I don't know. And again, I don't think this is Ohtani. I don't know if he's standoffish with the fans, but you're traipsing all the way over to Japan, and then you're just going to make him not visible when he touches down with the plane? That's nuts to me. Anyway,
I don't like that.
I don't know if I'm old lady waving fist at cloud. I just think this is, come on. Meanwhile, they're all in Japan. So.
When's that game?
It's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And so it's going to be like early evening, which means I guess Japan is 13 hours ahead from the East Coast, so early morning for us. So we get some live sports during the show, which is awesome.
Feels like COVID. I'm so very curious about Ohtani. That dude was playing with one arm in the World Series a few months ago, and now he's hitting home runs in spring training.
Yeah, he's healthy now.
Well, how does he recover so fast from all these injuries? How did he have Tommy John and have an MVP season immediately after? Superhuman? I don't know. This is all right.
What are you proposing, Pearl?
I'm just saying, Shohei recovers fast. That's all I will say.
Oh, don't ruin the story. You call me
crazy.
skeptical because I thought Aaron Rodgers set up this Malibu beach picture on purpose to show that he's contemplating life.
I'm not saying PEDs or anything, but it is just, I think it's underestimated how crazy this guy recovers so fast.
Everything about him is different.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You would think that he would have full labrum surgery after the World Series, and that he could go out 3 months later and hit bombs in spring training. It's incredible.
Well, we'll see how long he does stay healthy. Hopefully, it's a lot.
That's why I get back to he's got to hit, Maggie. You cannot. I know they pulled back on the pitching, thank God, because you got to protect him. If you can win MVP every year a batter, and he can. Why would you risk that so we can play once every 5 games as a pitcher? To me, stick him at batter.
One other interesting part is a little remember when. Do you guys obviously remember a year ago when the Dodgers were in South Korea to do this opening round thing, or whatever, like faux opening day? And this is when the Ippei Mizuhara interpreter scandal first broke. And the fact that the time difference really played a part in the story. Because it was hard getting information, and Ippei, the translator, was being very, nefarious and lying to news outlets and lying to ESPN, and it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I remember it because you bring it up every 3 days.
I do.
And I was wondering, I'm like, why this Shohei take? Oh, okay. It was a way for Maggie to get to Ippei. The JFK assassination and the Ippei-Shohei relationship and accidental Spanish curse words.
I mean, that's my wheelhouse.
The Holy Trinity.
For me. What else you guys got? I mean, that's pretty good. The one thing I'll never get over is Ippei's placing 70 bets a day, and he's spending every waking moment with Ohtani. Ohtani says he has no idea the guy's sports betting. That's what I just can't get by. But anyway, that's not what this is about.
Or is it?
Well, here's the other part. I was having a conversation yesterday with some guys in Toronto doing some Toronto radio hit, which was awesome. So thank you to Mike Gentile and thank you to everyone there for having me on. They said they thought Shohei Ohtani had the number one approval rating in terms of athletes. He's the most universally beloved. And then because this was Toronto radio, we were talking a lot of Buffalo Bills, they thought Josh Allen was a close second. So Shohei has the widest approval rating, whether you're a Dodger fan or not. You just kind of love the guy. and that Josh Allen would be number 2.
Yeah, I don't even know if that feels right. So let me ask you a question. Approval rating mean there are no haters? Like, because obviously the most popular athletes, those are, I mean, Caitlin Clark's probably the most popular athlete right now. LeBron, Mahomes, but those guys are, because they have some haters, they don't fit that category?
Yeah, like your ratio of lovers and haters has to be really tilted towards the lovers. Like you're always going to find somebody who's got an issue. But as far as like widely loved, like I think Mahomes was there and might still be there, but the Chiefs have, with so much winning, I think they've kind of turned a little bit into, they've turned into villains a little bit.
But I think Mahomes is the most popular NFL player. I don't think Josh Allen breaks into that Mount Rushmore of super, super popular guys because you got Curry and LeBron there too. I think the
LeBron
NBA
is polarizing though. That's the thing. LeBron's not popular. Universal. That's 50-50, I think.
Not universal, but still, he's such a bigger. So yeah, I guess I'm getting confused with star power and jersey sales.
I'm saying likability.
Yeah, I guess you could argue that, but everybody likes. We were talking about Jimmer Fredette earlier. There are a lot of guys that everybody likes. Just because you don't have any haters doesn't mean that.
Approval rating? Like that Shohei is number 1. Do you agree with that?
Shohei is pretty popular.
He's the face of the sport.
Right, but obviously.
And people like him. They glossed over. Maybe not me. Maybe I still have some questions about the gambling scandal, but people glossed over that really fast, and maybe because he's just an innocent bystander, and I do feel bad that he got all that money bilked out of him, but we didn't even really know him. In
some ways, I think that's to a benefit.
Helps.
Yeah.
Right.
We do know Josh Allen, but he's very middle of the road. Like
but
he's not taking political stances. He's not. He and Haley Steinfeld don't flaunt the relationship nearly like Travis and Taylor.
Well, I think the only difference is he's not the face of the league. He's one of the faces of the league, but he's not like Shohei is singular. Right.
Yeah.
And LeBron is obviously the face of the NBA.
Go Bills.
So
I know he won't quit whining about it.
Where's Steph Curry fit in this, though?
He's pretty darn, well, he's like Mahomes. Like people just invented reasons not to like him.
But I almost feel like I don't feel like he gets the amount of hate Mahomes gets, which is weird because I think their teams get equal amount of hate. I think people dislike the Warriors and dislike the Chiefs.
I think people started disliking the Warriors because their owner was kind of arrogant about what they were doing. We're light years ahead of everybody else. No one can touch us.
I think Draymond Green.
Draymond's not likable. Yeah.
Makes them, and then Kevin Durant joined them.
And the Durant thing, but that had nothing to do with Curry. I mean, Curry's the petty king, though. He's doing night-night on people.
People seem to like that stuff, though. I don't know any. I mean, I know we had a discussion during the Olympics where you were like, did you have to do it against France?
Yeah, come on. We're doing night-night against Kazakhstan. Give me a break.
But I think people liked it, though. That was the point. Is that like he got celebrated for that. That picture is like one of the biggest sports pictures of the year last year of him doing the night-night with the crowd behind him. Like people like that stuff from him.
You're gonna night-night South Sudan. Like you got a problem.
Le night-night.
Yeah. Night.
I'm looking, if you do jersey sales, would you just go by that? But you're saying
I think jersey sales to me skews toward children. So that's
Curry's 1 in basketball, and McCaffrey and Mahomes are basically tied at 1 in football. I think kids love Mahomes. I mean, I was at a party with kids. I mean, Mahomes is different. He's recently was
hanging out.
Yeah, it was a bar mitzvah, and Mahomes. We were talking football, and like he's just viewed differently.
I think kids love champions. Kids love people who win all the time.
And also Mahomes' style is so fun. He's got the hair. He had the hair. I know he got a cut. Throws the ball left-handed, no looks. He's very popular. Curry too.
I remember kids used to love Tom Brady growing up, which I did. I'm a New Yorker, and there's this figment of millennial New Yorkers who are Patriots fans. Oh, Zach L.
Yeah.
Who like just
love winners.
Yeah, they love winners. They were winning all the time, and they jumped on the bandwagon.
But he's more like respect Tom Brady. Did they love Tom Brady, or did they respect Tom Brady?
I feel like they did. I feel like they loved him.
See, I could see kids loving Curry because Curry looks like a kid. Even
the
in his 30s.
babyface assassin.
Yeah, the babyface assassin.
Yeah, maybe that's it. That was interesting. Just Shohei Ohtani, is he the most widely liked athlete that we have? 855-212-4227. Would it kill him to wave to the crowd? Again, I don't think that's him. I'm not blaming him for this. Saying hundreds of people show up to the airport in Japan to get a glimpse of you, to breathe the Ohtani air. Say hi. From a distance. It could be safe. All right, coming up, Aaron Rodgers spotted on the beach looking contemplative.
Ew!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, if you were Aaron Rodgers, what would you do? 855-212-4227. Pearl, he gets caught by a paparazzi-style photo, Malibu, on the beach, looking out into the ocean, presumably thinking about where he's going to play next year, although it's Rodgers, so he really could be thinking about anything. Next Pat McAfee appearance, next Netflix documentary. I have no idea. But, there's seemed to be two teams that were really, coming down to the final two, and that was Steelers and the Giants. And then yesterday, Diana Rossini reports that the Vikings are back in and that they are also looking at Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Vikings, I think, is the most complicated of the three scenarios.
Right, because he can't just walk in and be the guaranteed starter.
Yeah, and it's kind of a mixed message that you're giving to not only J.J. McCarthy, but the fan base, your locker room, everything. When you keep saying publicly, as the Vikings have, we still are committed to developing J.J. McCarthy, but then you bring in Aaron Rodgers? Like, that's we got to judge your actions, not your words. And if I'm McCarthy, my confidence probably just took a major hit.
Yeah, but everybody kind of gets it, though, because Rodgers would be unbelievable in that stadium with those receivers and that offensive coordinator. The upside is very high. I mean, if you're Minnesota, I understand the message to McCarthy, but that doesn't even matter because McCarthy's not going to be ready to throw the ball like Aaron Rodgers. McCarthy still hasn't played a snap of NFL football, and you have this Ferrari of an offense. Do you trust that to a kid?
Well, I mean, you drafted him last year.
Yeah.
So it's not like your team's so wildly different. I mean, so you're high on him a year ago, and now you've cooled off. And of course, Aaron Rodgers is going to be. He's got a 20-year head start on the guy.
Right. You're right. We did draft him a year ago. The Vikings drafted him a year ago. I think that what they saw what Sam Darnold could do with that offense. Imagine just upgrading even a little bit from that. The J.J. McCarthy, again, he's young. He came in the league at 21, didn't he? He's not even an older guy like Jaden Daniels. So just give him time. Give him one more year. I totally get it from the Vikings standpoint. I would offer him. They offered what? Daniel Jones signed for 1 year, $14 million, and the Vikings were reportedly close to that. Give Aaron Rodgers $12 million to come and play 1 year and then say goodbye. What's the downside? If Rodgers will do that, why wouldn't you do it?
No, I think you probably would, but then there's no shot unless Rodgers gets hurt that J.J. McCarthy's getting on the field. So you mentioned that he's a younger guy, and that's true, but that doesn't impact the rookie salary cap part of this. They don't care how old you are. And so now we're 2 years down, and maybe teams don't care about that as much. Obviously, the Packers don't care. They had Jordan Love sit there behind Rodgers, but, it's a different Rodgers. This is not the same guy who's winning MVPs. Would he be an upgrade? Like, sure, over Sam Darnold, yeah, but when does the future start? Like Green Bay decided the future needed to start with Jordan Love, and they made the right decision. Why wouldn't the Minnesota Vikings think, all right, if the guy's knees healthy, J.J. McCarthy, that is, let's get him out here and let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
Yeah, definitely. But he turned 22 on January 3rd, J.J. McCarthy. I think that they feel comfortable with J.J. McCarthy in his third year deciding whether they want to pay him. They don't need 2 years of J.J. McCarthy to decide, the rookie salary cap. So the other thing, you don't have to spend a lot of money on Rodgers, so you're not killing your salary cap. There's very little downside to me.
Can I set up one possible what if? Let's say that Rodgers does go with the Vikings, because I would argue, even with the upgrades that the Steelers have made with DK Metcalf, that still the Vikings have the slightly better roster, right? I mean, they won 14 games last year in a very hard division. So let's just go with me there that the Vikings would be number one on the list, maybe Steelers 2, Giants 3. What if everything goes great? And what if Rodgers does lead them to 14 wins? And let's say he doesn't flame out in the playoffs like Sam Darnold did, and say they win a playoff game or two. So you're telling me you're not bringing Rodgers back?
No, you are 2 years. Then you wait for the fourth year for McCarthy.
Okay, so now we're really pushing this thing down the road.
Yeah, same thing happened with Love, right?
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Rodgers.
But, Jordan Love also wasn't a top 10 pick. So I don't know if that really matters. He still was a first rounder.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's complicated with Rodgers. It's the best spot, the Vikings, but it's also the most complicated spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're right, Pittsburgh and Giants, that's plug and play. Yeah. But that's a problem I'm sure the Vikings would like to have, to be honest. And I think you and I argue about this sometimes. This idea that he's going to be too good and cause a problem. Hey, if he wins a playoff game, Hello.
Right. You take that.
That's fine. And I bet you if they did sign him, I wouldn't be shocked if it was a 2-year deal.
Can I tell you who the things are working out really well for right now?
Who's that?
Well, beyond Aaron Rodgers, who I think had like no market a couple months ago and now is basically choosing, it seems, choosing between 3 teams. We don't know like all the details, but this is working out phenomenally for Shedeur Sanders. Phenomenally. Because if you're going to play musical chairs here, if you have Rodgers, let's say, goes to the Vikings, Russell Wilson goes back to the Steelers, well, now the Giants are beyond SOL. Mm-hmm. Like, you have a coach and a GM on the hot seat, need to make something happen. They've said they're going to take big swings with the quarterback position, so they would have missed out on Stafford, missed out on Aaron Rodgers. You're telling me you're pivoting to Carson Wentz? No way.
Fantastic.
You're going to Shedeur just to give the distraction, I think, and give, fans something to hope for, give ownership something to grab onto. This could be awesome for Shedeur Sanders, who the last time we checked, his draft stock was falling like a stone.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the media, it was falling like a stone. We're not quite sure how teams view him. I always wondered, did the Giants have to trade up to guarantee to get him? I feel like that would be, the Browns are sitting there. If they thought that they got a whiff that the Giants were taking Shedeur, they'd be like, well, we're taking him too. Give us a pick. Solomon Thomas, Mitch Trubisky style. I mean,
worked out great.
Shedeur, as I mentioned earlier, he visited New York and Cleveland on back-to-back days, and he's going to Tennessee next week. I mean, if Shedeur is going to be a top 3 pick, then he might as well go too. Right? Like, why would Cleveland not take him?
They might, but they just traded for Kenny Pickett, and Russell Wilson is in the building today. So it'd be hilarious if Russell just signs with the Browns. And the Steelers are like, uh-oh, now we really got to hope Rodgers signs with us.
Well, right, if he signs with the Browns. Well, Russ is a bridge no matter where he is. He's a short-term solution. Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying about Shedeur. I still don't know. I don't have any idea what happens to him. I think it's very likely he goes 2, and it's very likely he goes 21. And by the way, he could be in the mix for the Steelers.
It's possible. I really think that this is helping him. We talked about like this quarterback carousel. I said started to feel a little like 2 a.m. at the bar. It's like, who am I going home with? And like the pickings may be slim. And I think that really helped Shedeur because besides Cam Ward, Shedeur, I don't know. It just feels like the opinions are split. But if you have desperate teams who need quarterbacks, he provides you not just someone who can play the position, but someone who just takes up a lot of oxygen, right? Like somebody, it's a statement to draft Shedeur Sanders. Like, we're doing this.
Yeah. I mean, it actually, besides the narrative stuff, it also could help a lot of other quarterbacks. Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, like all of them could be in the mix to at least be in QB. All of them could walk into a QB competition. Any of them could beat out these guys we're talking about. I'm very interested. Do the Steelers? They sign Russ. They have Kenny. They sign Russ. They'll definitely get a quarterback at some point, right? Or even if you get Rodgers, like you have to get a young quarterback in that building.
Yeah, they don't have anybody. They don't have anybody right now.
Yeah, and the Giants too. Even say they did get Rodgers, they would probably draft a quarterback in the second round as well.
Maybe. I mean, they have Tommy DeVito as the backup. I almost said Danny DeVito. That'd be hilarious. I think this is
probably a better option.
This is working out. Can he see over the line of scrimmage? I don't think he can. Like, this is working out very well for Rodgers, and I think this is working out very well for Shedeur. Those are my 2 big winners of this whole thing.
Yeah.
We asked you on X, Aaron Rodgers standing on the beach, looking out into the ocean. Pearl trying to contemplate life and everything that comes with it. Do you think the photo of Aaron Rodgers sitting on the beach was staged?
Can I ask you a question?
69% of you say yes.
Adam Schefter came out yesterday. Was really annoyed that Aaron Rodgers was not making a decision.
Yeah.
Do you share that annoyance? Does Rodgers owe it to us to make a decision faster?
Absolutely not. Schefter, I think, probably hasn't slept in days. He's just a little angry. No, not at all. Take as much time as you want.
Well, what about the teams? A lot of people hang in the balance on this decision. You mentioned Minnesota, New York, and Pittsburgh are all intertwined. Does Rodgers owe anybody anything here to make a quick decision? Because a lot of other guys are waiting on this decision.
Absolutely not. why would he care at all about Russell Wilson? Like what? Unless they're friends behind the scenes. I don't know. They had some epic battles in the playoffs. But no, of course not. And by the way, if you really want him, offer more money, and I bet you'll get him.
Well, the other issue is I think a couple of these teams might not wait and might just make a signing. I think
there's no one left.
I definitely think Minnesota could bring in one of the backups out there. They could bring in Jameis, whoever. Minnesota seems to want to pay $10 million for a high-end backup, right? So they could pull the trigger and say, we're not going to wait for Aaron. Because the other thing, too, is there are these second-line guys like Flacco. I still think Flacco in Pittsburgh would be incredibly interesting. They could just pull that trigger. Who knows? You and I have a very different definition of interesting if you think Joe Flacco is going to be interesting in Pittsburgh. Well, I mean, it's so funny. I think Joe Flacco could be just as good as Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. I mean, they're about the same age. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'd hand it to Russ just because he's been there already. 40. Yeah, Flacco's 40. I just think that if you're going to go with basically Russ Wilson, you might as well just go Joe Flacco and rebuild at the position. Just why are you doing Russ? What's the point? What's the ceiling of that situation? Because you screwed yourself. That's why. Because this is not why you're going with Russ. Like, of all the options that you had, you left yourself with no options. Like, that's the infuriating part about the Steelers. It feels like it doesn't have to be this way if they had just had a little more foresight, right? Like, you could have at least had Justin Fields. Oh, I don't like that either. Or whatever. You wouldn't be this desperate. I'd rather do 1 year Jameis or Flacco. 855-212-4227. Are you guys coming around with me in the crowd that this Rodgers photo on the beach is staged? Coming around to the idea that maybe he said, well, I know if I go out, maybe someone will take a picture of me. I don't think he called paparazzi or called some guy. But yeah, maybe. Would you be surprised if Enigma 2 was in the works? Oh, he's definitely got a camera crew. Right. What's your following this decision? What's Netflix films you once? They are there for life. I've noticed that because I'm watching Full Swing now, and they basically every season they form these relationships and they all become friends. And I think Aaron Rodgers has a crew around him right now. Any person that has appeared on Netflix is that at every Monday Night Raw now. Yeah, that's funny. It is crazy. Is this Macaulay like in the Culkin's been there twice. Andrew Schultz was there on Monday night. It's O'Shea Jackson was there. Like, if you've been on Netflix, you're going to Raw. Doesn't matter where it is. They're making sure, and they're going to spotlight you. They're going to stop the show and say, hey, this guy's here. By the way, he's a Netflix special coming out next month. Wait, is Macaulay Culkin making a comeback? Culkamania, baby. He is, yes. He's on fire right now. Because he keeps going to the wrestling shows. Yeah, but what's the project? Like, what's the vehicle? Something, Maggie, something's in the works. None of this happens by accident. He's Kevin, that's why. Well, he was Kevin 30 years ago, Manny. Hey, Kieran was there too, wasn't he? I saw that on social. Yeah. That's he's also exciting. Doing all right. Well, he's doing great. He's got Succession, and then they had that movie with still can't tell them apart. Kieran and Macaulay? I can't. Macaulay? No, I can't. They don't look alike at all anymore. I still can't do it. Are you serious? Not yet. I confuse them for each other, but I don't. But I don't think they're the same person. If that makes sense. No, they're not. They definitely look different. One's Kevin and one's Fuller. Again, 30 years ago. I'm here for a Macaulay Culkin comeback. Why not? Yeah, his Q rating's pretty high right now. People like him. His wife, Brenda Song, she knows a lot about sports. Like she was like breaking down why the Rams lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. She was like, "Yeah, no, our run defense was awful all of last season." So, I mean, good for the Macaulay Culkin and podcast. Was it? I can't remember. See that coming. Yeah, maybe because Brenda's also kind of making a comeback too. She was a big Disney star. Loved me some London Tipton back in the day. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys are speaking a foreign language. I'm with you on Macaulay Culkin, but not with the rest of it. 855-212-4227. Is it? I have a question. What is this show that the NFL players are doing in Dubai? That's definitely a show, right? They all happen to be there. Oh, I saw C.J. Stroud not C.J. Stroud. Justin Fields was there when he signed the big contract. With 6 or 7 other young stars. It seems like nowadays every player just films a documentary. Michael Parsons is there too. Is there an F1 race going on over there right now? No. They're doing these cultural events and they're doing these fun videos. It's got to be a show.
Or maybe the NFL's trying to do some kind of outreach there.
That's
you know
what
the
I'm
NFL. If there's $1 to be made somewhere in the corner of this globe, they will do it.
Oh, really?
That brought me to a question to you guys, though, because I saw Justin was celebrating in Dubai, getting his bag. Is there a place you'd want to celebrate when getting a massive contract?
Yes, Dubai.
That's the place you would go, Manny?
Probably.
As a woman,
Really?
I probably wouldn't pick Dubai.
Why would you go to
Oh,
Dubai?
what's that, Maggie?
Because I can't drive there.
That's
or
wrong.
like show my hair. Maybe tourists can, actually. I don't know.
Wait, is Dubai like a fun place to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's baller.
I think it's really posh.
Yeah, it's really posh, but I don't know. You're not really allowed to super party there, are you?
I think behind closed doors.
I think the celebrities get different privileges that.
Got it.
No,
I want to hang out with
That's
Cristiano
what I've heard.
Ronaldo. That's what I want to do.
I know Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel was doing whatever he wanted. In Dubai.
Okay.
Well, there's no rules for Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
The international court ruled
He
on
was
that years
flying
ago.
cars through buildings. Okay, that's what I'm going off of.
No, I've traveled to majority Muslim countries before, and it's like as long as it's very discreet, no drinking in public on the street, but restaurants, hotels, things like that, you can be in good shape. But no, I don't think I'd pick there. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, we were just in New Orleans. That's a pretty fun place to celebrate.
An amazing place.
New Orleans, fun party town. Vegas.
Right, if you're overseas, like Monte Carlo, like what are those places? Monaco, I can't. remember.
Monaco.
What are the big parties? Oh, how about Greece?
Oh, on a yacht.
Mykonos or
Island.
Santorini.
How about just Italy? Because everything's cool there.
Yeah, I mean,
How about
Italy.
Washington Heights, Manhattan?
I got an apartment for you. Haven't signed on the dotted line yet, Manny. It could be yours.
By the way, in Dubai, it's Jordan Love, Kyle Pitts, Justin Fields, Bijan Robinson, and Micah Parsons doing a sort of tourism thing. Do you think I got to find out why these guys are there?
Definitely being followed with a camera crew.
Yes, everyone's got a camera crew now, so that's why Rodgers. I don't
Except
even.
us four.
You're 100% right. There's a guy with a boom mic standing right next to him. You just can't see him in the photo.
The funny part of the Justin Fields video, they're partying. Did you see it? It was like a bunch of people dressed up as pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like were they just at a theme restaurant?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that was about.
It's pretty
I
cool.
was like, he's not going to join the Raiders or the Buccaneers. So. Imagine if that was the case, though, if he thought he was going to like the Raiders. So, like, I know he wasn't, but that would be kind of funny. And then, like, sorry, actually, it's the Jets. Your agent calls you.
It's also, I didn't realize that pirate was such a universal thing. Like they were dressed up like Captain Jack Sparrow, you know? I didn't know that was everywhere.
Yeah, I think pirates are. Yeah,
Pirates are everywhere?
Yeah, I'm only thinking about the Tom Hanks, look at me. I'm the captain now. That definitely wasn't an American thing.
Yeah, that's true. 855-212-4227. Okay. You just got $30 million. Where do you want to party to celebrate that?
Captain Jack! I'm the captain now. That's such a different kind of pirate. We're on Pirates of the Penzance, and you go to an international.
No, that's a pirate though.
Yeah, but they were Somali.
But but he didn't have a patch and a hook for a hand like the Halloween costume pirate.
The pirates over here also don't have hooks for hands. That's all made up.
I'm looking at these guys. They're not exactly Captain Jack Sparrow. There's some weird outfit going on. Right.
855-212-4227. The easy answer is Vegas. That's where you go to party.
Vegas is undefeated.
New Orleans close second.
What happens in Vegas stays in. Yeah, Vegas is where you want to be when you sign the contract.
Hawaii's my favorite place, so I'd probably pick Hawaii. Get a big luau.
That'd be fun.
I mean, the bottom line is you want to celebrate now because you're about to go to the Jets.
Yeah, so not Florham Park, New Jersey is what you're saying. 855-212-4227. Yeah. You can party in Washington Heights. Ask Robinson Cano. Okay, so lots more to do, including a couple questions out there for you. A, do you think that the Aaron Rodgers photo of him sitting out, looking out into the Pacific Ocean was staged? 2, who was the biggest college basketball star of the last 25 years? Perloff going with Zion Williamson. I'm going with J.J. Redick on this one. What about you? 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break.
by the Berkeley tunes, and every night from Maggie and Perloff.
Now Bailey rode into town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Zach Jobs lost in darkness, Ryan Stream's a mess, Chappelle Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night.
Here's a brand new rule in the MLB. The golden at bat sounds fancy to me, but don't get excited, it's not what you think. Kinda like a shower, but one you don't wanna drink. So wild card swing, a shot for the... Who's that name lighting up the stream? It's Pine Needle living the dream. Dropping hot takes a little bit of flair, always in the chat like they own the air. Got a thing in sharper than a pine tree tip, dropping one-liners.
There's a YouTube legend, better take note. Jamie's in the chat and he's ready to gloat. Calls him like he sees him, don't need no.
Oh, America, the land of the brave, where freedom reigns and legends pave. But in that locker room, my heart did pause at the sight of Tyson and his droopy cause.
Young Perloff hit the flea market stand, a $10 bill in his sweaty little hand. He said, I need ninja stars, the kind that can slice. Kids need weapons, this country's too nice.
Oh, Uncle Sam's got his turkey day plans. Sipping bourbon from a can, yeah, that's his stance. He's got the Maggie and Perloff show on blast, feeling thankful and tipsy, talking fast. Drunk Uncle Sam, he's the man, with a drink in his hand and a wild family plan. Chatting up a storm about freedom and fuss, complaining about censorship and making a fuss. Daly's in the chat, shouting out loud, hey, let us speak free, don't censor the crowd. But Drunkle just laughs with a grin and a wink. He's got Maggie and Perloff and plenty to drink. Drunkle Sam, he's the man, with a pumpkin pie and a turkey day tan. Bourbon in his cup, he's our #1 fan. Raising a glass to the Maggie and Perloff clan. So here's to Drunkle, all merry and bold, with Thanksgiving cheer and chat uncontrolled. He's loud, he's proud, a fan through and through. Cheers, Uncle Sam, we're thankful for you.
Pissed as hell, Giselle's got a secret she didn't fucking tell. Had Brady's baby, Tom don't know, but where the hell's Peter? No show after no show. He's bitching about Giselle, her secret kid, but his own damn job he's nowhere he hid. Bogusch keeps wondering, where's Pete today? Left us hanging again, like every damn day. Dropping F-bombs, talking Tom's mess, while his empty chair just adds to the stress. Bogusch is stuck, covering his slack, looking around like, will Pete come back? Swear like hell by Tom's mystery son, but showing up to work, he's gone, he's done. Forget Giselle and Brady's life, Peter's job's the real mystery, his endless strife. Yeah. Wondering, where the fuck is he? Every time he checks, Pete's MIA, can't see. And we're pulling his weight, shift after shift, while Pete's home maybe, or just drifting adrift. It's about Brady, like it's his goddamn right, but coming to work, Manny's out of sight. Giselle and her drama, who gives a shit?
Hannah Cavender looks like they've broken up. According to the internet, can't confirm, but Carson Beck has an issue with some Snapchats that may have gotten leaked, and now it looks like they could be on the out. So I said, Manny, what are you waiting for?
An age as old as time, since 2011. Men getting caught on Snapchat.
I know.
Wait,
How did he keep getting caught?
So it was his snaps, not hers, that were causing the problems?
Yeah.
Okay, EJ, you're stuck with Carson Beck now. Now they've broken up. Are you happy about this, or you're a Miami Hurricanes fan?
Hannah did good work. She got him here, and now it's up to us to.
She did her job in the recruiting.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, Hannah. All you got for
Miami
it is
was
some
staring
guy.
down the barrel of some very bad options at quarterback, so I'm perfectly
You're
fine
happy.
with taking a chance on Carson Beck.
Gosh, I felt like at the end of the year last year, nobody liked Carson Beck anymore. It was the body language,
The interception.
He wasn't playing well.
Yeah, he was, but it was not the play necessarily. I just think that people were wondering about his football character. I'm being serious.
No question.
Yeah, he just always had the slumped shoulders. He didn't seem like a team leader.
He's got some sad puppy dog eyes.
That's the one thing I think I'm a little worried about, because what I keep talking about with Cam Ward is, yes, great, obviously on the field, but people don't underestimate how much he changed the culture at Miami. Like Miami, it was a bunch of losers walking in the locker room. Seriously, like Cam Newton said a couple weeks ago, and Cam just changed the entire environment and made them believe they were actually really good.
Except the defense.
Defense, he couldn't change them. Offense,
They didn't get the pixie dust.
Defense didn't get the memo. No, but the offense.
Chemistry is only on one side of the locker room. Everyone else is on your own.
He set the tone, and Carson Beck, he's never been described as that kind of cult of personality. So I wonder if he can be that, or if Cam's influence has done enough. I don't know.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, for Georgia, that's hard to do when this is a defense team.
I think that's a part of it, and I think they're. I don't love their offensive coordinator. Mike Bobo, I know has been successful, but like he wasn't that great on Mark Richt, and then he gets all these good players. Now they're okay. He kind of came off the backs of the guy in Baltimore,
Todd Monken.
Monken really kind of recreated that offense, and then I think Bobo kind of just latched on at the end. So I don't know. I think maybe different personality, different situation. Maybe something's different for
But
Carson.
I think Perloff is asking if the Carson Beck Hannah Cavender alleged breakup that the internet is saying, if that's going to like bleed onto the football field, then something tells me he's going to be okay.
No,
because
well,
I saw the leaked Snapchats and it looks like he's going to be fine.
Well, what if though there's a big NIL influencer in another school? Isn't there more? Are all the I guess they're all closed out, the transfer portals. I'm like, could Beck follow a pretty girl to some other college? Who knows?
I think they've got plenty of pretty girls in Miami. Something tells me he's going to be okay. Something tells me she's going to be okay. I think she's a big catch here.
I think they had plenty of pretty girls at Georgia, too.
Fair.
Remember we were linking the Giants to Carson Beck forever, Manny? Now, what do you think?
Now we get Hannah Cavender, I'm in.
Yeah.
Only if she comes. Well, he looks like he's got some apologizing to do. Again, if the internet's right.
Why did we do that, by the way? You know what I'm talking about? The Giants and Carson Beck seemed like they were married for a long time, and I don't understand why.
That was until the Snapchats got leaked.
Yeah. No, I
Suddenly
think
it's on everything's dicey.
I mean, I think the Giants could easily be in the quarterback market next year.
He was the prospective -- 1 pick for kind of coming into the season. Like, people thought very highly of him.
I know. Tall.
Yeah, and he's got a pretty good arm. Like, it's something's missing there, though.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, again, he goes to Miami, he finds it. They have a very good offensive staff, so we'll see.
I won't judge him if he cheated, because if you're the quarterback of University of Miami, I mean, you're a young man. I'm not going to fault an athlete for that. Is that wrong?
No one's assigning blame or fault.
Yeah, and you're in college.
Just reporting the news.
I'm
sorry, the rumors. Reporting the rumors. La-di-da. On to Andrew Bogusch, who's got actual headlines for us.
Didn't his elbow injury go away very fast, too? Didn't it seem like a big deal at the end of the year? And then, he had surgery, and then there was the big brace, and it was just gone. And he was bouncing around with Hannah like nothing happened.
Yeah, he was wearing that gaudy brace when he arrived on campus, and then it seemed like, you're right, it seemed like it just disappeared. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with UCL injuries.
Wasn't he? But didn't he wear his uniform toward the end too a little bit? Wasn't it like in a dire situation he could have come in or something?
No.
That SEC championship game, he had to do the last play because Gunnar Stockton got knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but he had his uniform on.
Yeah,
so.
because they had no other quarterback, so he just handed the ball. But when he arrived on campus at Miami, he had surgery, so he had this very gaudy elbow brace.
Oh, okay.
That made it look like he was going to throw football for 4 years. It was a little nerve-wracking. But now he seems fine. these pictures we see him, he's chilling. I don't know what he looked like in the Snapchat. I'm assuming no brace.
Man, Delta in the chat is just brutal. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet. He's the guy that overcompensates his lack of talent with way too many tattoos. Burn.
Is that
Carson
a thing?
Beck.
Is that a thing?
I didn't think that was a thing. Is are multiple tattoos overcompensating for something?
I don't think anyone does because I have a lot of friends who love tattoos. Shout out Nick Costos.
Hey, Nick, love you.
But I thought it was more of like you compensate for your looks or your body. I didn't think it was ability to perform athletically.
I think some people just like the art.
Yeah.
Manny, why do you have tattoos?
We already know because he got drunk on spring break.
I think A.J. McCarron's tattoos, maybe that fits in that case. Just because he wasn't. I mean, that thing was ridiculous, and he was not that talented.
Maybe it'd make you look tougher? An arm sleeve?
Well, A.J. McCarron had the gigantic wings on his chest. That was crazy. But he did have a great girlfriend, Catherine Webb.
Yeah.
Famous.
Married now.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, and A.J. McCarron seems like a nice guy. That was an unnecessary shot.
Huh. I never thought that about tattoos. It's never crossed my mind.
People just don't like Carson Beck. I think that was honestly. These are a lot of players with tattoos. We never say that about.
He's got like Jay Cutler on the sideline energy.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And it may be just the way his face is designed.
He's got one of those faces.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
He definitely has one of those faces.
Yeah.
This is incredibly harsh on Carson
Yeah,
Beck.
we're being way too personal.
Yeah,
that's my quarterback, like T.O.
Yeah.
That worked out well.
Anyway, while Aaron Rodgers keeps his toes in the Malibu sand, boots on the ground in Cleveland today for Russell Wilson, the free agent QB expected to meet with the Giants tomorrow. Now, separate reports in Pittsburgh and New York say the Steelers and Giants are simply waiting to hear from Rodgers. It appears that both teams have made him an offer. And a reminder, the Jets are eating $49 million in dead money over the next 2 seasons to get rid of Rodgers. Veteran Saints Cam Jordan and Tyrann Mathieu reportedly taking pay cuts to remain in New Orleans. This will be Jordan's 15th season with the organization. The Niners are signing Mac Jones for 2 years and $5 million guaranteed, and the Patriots reportedly preparing to release longtime center David Andrews. He's recovering from major shoulder surgery and could end up retiring. Northwestern men's basketball won its Big Ten tourney opener yesterday, 72-64 over Minnesota. But that didn't mean head coach Chris Collins was in a forgiving mood postgame.
Our guys are just a tough group of guys. You know, they've had a lot thrown at them. Even last night, they put us in a hotel. The rooms were 1,000 degrees. There was no AC in the hotel. And our guys' rooms were 85 degrees. And that's where the league puts you. So every way they turn, they're trying to get us, and our guys just are a resilient bunch.
Oh, my gosh. How did you live?
There were more shots at the Big Ten, as Collins explained that players had to hang out in common areas of the hotel where there was AC, but they were preparing to sleep in this heat again last night. Collins also said the hotel told him the AC had been broken for more than a week, so the Big Ten had time to find other accommodations and did not.
I'm 100% with anyone. I can't sleep when it's 85.
Oh, this
Same.
is such whining.
Miserable.
I'm sorry. Are you the Lakers?
Oh,
You're the
God.
Northwestern basketball
This
team.
is the Big Ten tournament. You should have AC in your hotel
This
room.
is the only chance they got to make the tournament, probably.
They should
right?
just check into another hotel.
I don't know why they can't pick up and move on their own. But I mean,
Yeah.
the rooms are getting paid for by the league. Maybe that's why.
How hot are these hotel rooms in Indianapolis?
85.
Like, why though? It's Indianapolis.
Heat rises.
Can't open a window.
I mean, how about a little grit?
Wow.
How about when your dad was getting hosed, by the Russian officials in the Olympics? Now that's something to complain about. Not your hotel room is a little too warm in Indianapolis. Is this what we're doing now?
You're telling them to put some icy hot and man up.
I'm just saying, let's stop with the excuses
Man
and the
up.
whining.
No, it's
They had to hang out in common areas.
One
oh
finger-
my gosh, the humanity.
One finger pointing at somebody, 4 pointing back. You come in every day complaining about the heat or the air conditioner breaking in your home. Every single, literally.
But do I
5
not
days
go
a
to
week.
work? Do I ever say?
But we heard about it. They played their game last night.
Did I ever say it's affecting my performance?
Do we all? Let's put it this way: Do we all know about Maggie's heating and air conditioning situation?
Yes, last week you said we didn't give her enough sympathy.
But
yes, you said we didn't give you enough sympathy. I didn't get enough.
It was my house, A. B,
This is their house for now.
Sure. The Spring Hill Suites Marriott, not your house. And also, I do have a 5-year-old that I'm thinking about when it's 19 degrees outside and it was cold. Not because it was too hot.
Don't think Chris Collins is bringing his family to these games? Of course they are.
But
They're staying in that hotel.
No offense to your
It's
5-year-old.
too hot, not too cold. I was worried he was going to freeze in there.
He's in. Well, that's dangerous.
real.
You didn't want. But that being said, this is a tournament. You need your sleep. Sleep is a key to athletic performance. This is a major handicap. It's ridiculous. Sounds like a Red Auerbach Boston Celtics move.
Listen, when you get into the real world, Wildcats, sometimes it's not all gravy.
We got to get Lucas out of this house before it's too late.
What do you mean?
What kind of kid are you? I mean, come on.
He should have manned up.
I think it's fair of Northwestern to expect a climate-controlled room that the Big Ten's paying for at the conference tournament.
You guys are a bunch of wussies.
Oh my God! I didn't get enough sympathy from you for my heating situation.
It was 19 degrees.
You can only
You
do
are
4 Super Bowl
ridiculous.
shows.
You
bailed
complain
the fifth
about
one.
something breaking your house every day. I
Wait a
have
minute.
about half our text thread is sports. The other half is things that have happened that have broken in your house.
I know. We really got to look into that.
Yeah, that's another thing that's coming up.
I know. I actually have a theory. So the guy who keeps coming to fix the HVAC, I think he's really taken a shine to my husband and maybe to me. Like, he likes chit-chatting with us. And I'm wondering if he's actually breaking stuff on purpose just to come back and talk. Because he's not even charging us. Like, at some point, you can't charge us because, like, it's your mistake or whatever, right?
Warranties involved.
No.
Things like that.
What I think's happening. No, I don't think that's happening. I think he's talking to you guys because he's covering up his inability to fix anything.
I gotta tell you,
so you keep calling him because he's like, oh, he's a nice guy, and he charms you.
And he just not
and
good at
then
his job.
doesn't fix anything. He leaves, and then a week later, your thing's broken again. And he knows he's gonna get called back because he's talking to you guys so much.
My husband is so nice, It's really nice. And I think he's just extending way too much courtesy to this dude.
We have our air conditioning breaks 6 to 10 times a year, like every New York City building I've ever lived in. HVAC people have no idea what they're doing. They just walk in. EJ, you've lived in New York.
Yeah.
There is no less competent group of repairmen.
Oh, don't say that.
They're charging a
people in the
ton
audience.
and making up stuff left and right. It never, ever works.
The other thing, too.
I see that in Razia MTA workers.
Oh, that's taking a shot at EJ's fan.
I know, yeah. The other thing, too, though, is...
right.
yeah, Manny. The other thing, too, though, is so it's 75 degrees today in Indianapolis, so it's unseasonably hot. So in my building, what happens is they just assume, like, when they expect you to have heat and when they expect you to have AC.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the heat is on in the hotel. Like, he's complaining that there was no AC.
Yeah, March in Indianapolis is cold.
They may just say, yo, we didn't expect to need the AC right now. Like, it's not available. Like, right now, all we have is heat. Like, not to put... I'm wondering if it's just like a seasonal thing. Like, it's got some bad
Anyway,
luck.
how about Man Up, Northwestern?
Oh God!
Where's
I
the
can't.
student newspaper
I
to report on
can't
this?
wait till July when the AC goes down and you trying not to tell us about it, but not be able to fight that urge.
I'm zipping it.
If Maggie fighting
No
the Northwestern
way are you zipping
newspaper
it.
also not good for this show. They will find everything about all of us
That's
and just broadcast it to the world. They'll be on CNN being like, have you heard of Maggie Gray?
all the dead bodies in my freezer are not going to be a secret anymore.
Those are the best reporters in the world.
They brought down the football program in like 2 days.
Pat Fitzgerald can't show up on campus because
The guy was a legend.
he was an icon.
He was out in 48 hours.
And by the way, the Man Up thing, I would rather cut off a pinky than sleep in a non-air conditioned room.
God, you're so
Speaking
right.
of complaining about
God, it's
fingers.
the worst. Like Eddie, I'll play through injury. I play through injury all the time. Just play pickup basketball. Unair conditioned rooms, it sucks.
He's right.
You can always put on blankets. You can't take them off when it's 85.
And you guys are going to really, really melt when we all go to Dubai.
No, they have air conditioning there. It works.
That's the thing about Dubai.
You got to go out on the street.
They put millions and millions into their
I'm going to
air
Hawaii.
conditioning.
It's going to be 78 degrees every day.
Unlike this guy who's trying to talk his way through his lack of skills at your house.
I know, this HVAC
Does he
guy.
have a bunch of tattoos to overcompensate for his lack of air conditioning
And
repairs?
the funny part, too, is like it's humbling because, I thought maybe for a second he was going to be like, where are you Maggie Gray from? And it wasn't that. It was just wanting to talk to my husband, not wanting to talk about the Yankees rotation or something like that. Just chit-chat with my husband. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to talk about the Yankees rotation either.
I'm just saying.
And maybe he actually does know who you are, but it's just sad to bring up the Yankees situation. He's like, I'm not going to bring that up.
Maybe not.
The other side of this game, by the way, is Minnesota went home and they fired their head coach, Ben Johnson.
Oh, that took a turn.
The announcement was at like 2 a.m. Colorado State's Nico Medvedev might be the favorite to take that job. McNeese is once again the Southland tourney champ, 63-54 over Lamar. American handled Navy, 74-52. For the Patriot League auto bid at Montana, outscored Northern Colorado 91-83 to win the Big Sky bid from the NBA. The Thunder clinched a playoff spot with a 118-112 win in Boston. Mikal Bridges hit a 3 at the buzzer. The Knicks won in Portland in overtime, 114-113. And the Hawks beat the Hornets 123-110. Our friend Trey Young scored 35 points, hitting all 21 free throws.
21 free throws?
I mean, that's a normal line for Trey Young, isn't it?
A foul baiter. Oh, my goodness. 21 free throws. That's
Wait, hold on, Manny.
That's a
We
felony.
interrupt your complaining
That's a felony.
to go to, Bogusch. Nathan in Indianapolis. You know what happened at the hotel where the Big Ten schools are staying, and apparently they have no air conditioning. Hi, Nathan.
I do. Appreciate it. Love you guys. So real simple. So it being March and still wintertime here, I mean, it should be about 40 degrees outside, 45. It was 75 yesterday. So if you are anywhere outside of the first floor, heat rises. Everyone knows that. Because in my house, I didn't turn the AC on, and it got up to almost 80 degrees upstairs in my house. So that was the issue. It was 75 here yesterday in Indy. And so normally you would turn on the AC in those conditions.
Yep.
So,
I wonder, and thank you, Nathan. That explain. I mean, it does explain it, right? It's unseasonably warm right now. Well, enjoy that unseasonably warm weather. We hope you will. Why can't they just turn on the air conditioning in the hotel, though? But again, it's on like a seasonal timer?
No, he said that it was broken and it's been broken.
But why would you fix it in March? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, they probably just didn't think that it would be an issue. Not that, again, not to just defend the hotel, but it's Indianapolis. It's March. Sometimes it snows.
Yeah. Anyway, well, now Chris Collins is
Shut up, Chris Collins.
ticked off.
Take an elbow, Filipowski. The trend continues.
I mean, I'm just asking, when are we going to stop being a nation of wusses and really just, kind of get some grit?
I feel like somehow this is going back to like Duke hate. Now that I'm realizing it, because you got Filipowski and then Chris Collins, former Dookie. Is there something with that, Maggie?
No,
where they should just take
Maggie,
punishment?
she was just heartless. You almost went home early the other day because you left your peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the car. You complain.
You expect me to do a show on an empty
Yeah,
stomach?
I'm just
How dare
saying
you.
this is rich. This is rich. Is all I'm saying.
I said for them to have grit, not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
by the
think
way, you're not
we
exactly
displayed-
playing in the Big East tournament tomorrow either. Or sorry, Big Ten
I
tournament.
really hope Lucas becomes a great basketball player so that Chris Collins can recruit him and Maggie be like, so I have a question for you, Chris.
Back
what
in,
happened in
25.
2025?
Or he says how hard his mom was on him.
Are you really building kids of character? Are you really building boys into men?
This is going to be more likely Lucas sitting in a therapist's office 20 years from now. Like, I don't know why my mom always had it set to 85 in our house. It's really odd. Something about grit. She never really explained it. Okay, we got to take a quick break.
And my dad ran off with the HVAC guy. It's a tough childhood.
Unrequited love.
Honestly, can you imagine trying to talk about it? If Maggie's AC was at 85, we would hear about it so much. We wouldn't even be able to talk sports for about 3 weeks.
Like, welcome to the Maggie and Perloff show, guys. By the way, my AC has not been working.
Yeah, it's actually the HVAC guy lives with us now.
We would have to find a way to get the
He's taken up in the spare bedroom. He's part of the family.
We have to find a way to get the conversation to Ipe to get her off the AC.
Ooh, let's talk eBay. Okay, lots to do, folks. Thank you. We got to get to the story before we say goodbye. We must do this. We promised ourselves we would. It's a question for you. We're going to answer it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Still play Drake. Okay. Diana Rossini, NFL insider for The Athletic. about 20 minutes ago. Teams are willing to pay Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals the contract he desires, but have found Cincinnati's asking price to be, quote, ridiculous, as one GM told me. Bengals could adjust as the offseason progresses, but right now teams aren't willing to meet the terms. They're looking for a first-round pick, and then you've got to make them probably not the highest paid, but a highly paid pass rusher, maybe top 5.
Well, is a first-round pick, quote-unquote, ridiculous? Say the Philadelphia Eagles, who draft 32nd, offer a first-round pick. That's not rude. The Bengals must want more. Do you think they want 2 first rounds, Khalil Mack style?
Well, I don't think there's any precedent for a guy over 30 getting 2 first-round picks and also having to pay him.
So if it's ridiculous, maybe they are asking for that. Otherwise, they could probably get a first-round pick at the lower end. Your Bills just signed Joey Bosa. Do you think they would have given up a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson?
And I wish they would. That would have been cool, but I don't think they had the money, quite frankly.
That's true. You do need that. Well, actually, they did pay a lot of guys this offseason.
No, I know. And the Josh Allen contract, ironically, lowers the cap hit, and so created more space, even though he just got $250 million guaranteed. But I wish the Bills would have been in on Hendrickson, but I don't think they wanted to wait around and fart around with the Bengals. First of all, the Bengals may have not traded him to the Bills because they are rivals.
Yeah.
And secondly, I don't know if the Bengals are serious. I always thought they were just not being truthful when they said we're going to keep Chase and Higgins and Trey Hendrickson. I don't believe that.
Do you don't think they're serious about? Do you think they want to keep Trey Hendrickson? Is that what you're saying? Or?
I wonder if they make him play out this last year of the deal.
Yeah, it could be. By the way, I think KC has a decent amount of cap space. Actually, they would love Trey Hendrickson, but you just brought up a good point. Cincinnati's not going to trade with Kansas City.
I can't imagine. Yeah. I mean, when the Buffalo traded Stephon Diggs to Houston, I was like, oh, gosh, here we go. This is going to come back to bite them. Trading draft picks so that KC could draft Xavier Worthy. That did come back to bite them. I think between the Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, I don't think they're trading with each other right now. That's not good.
Well, the contenders in the NFC certainly would want Trey Hendrickson to Washington, Detroit, Philly. All those teams, I think, would give up a first-round pick. I think, but I don't know. Over 30 is a lot of money.
No doubt. 855-212-4227. All right, we got something on the line here tonight as far as the show's concerned.
Oh.
Yet again.
Is that tonight or this afternoon?
Tonight. No, it's today. It's today. I believe tip-off is at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? Okay.
Bogusch and my alma maters are facing each other in the Atlantic 10 tournament. They just played a week ago. My alma mater, GW, smoked the Fordham Rams in the Bronx by 30 points, and Bogusch had to buy everybody breakfast. Are we going breakfast again?
Oh, why were you? Okay. So you were talking trash. I feel good about this, huh?
Well, listen, they just won by 30 on their home floor. Maybe GW comes in a little overconfident, but considering they've won 15 games this year, I don't know why they would be overconfident. But are we doing more than breakfast, guys?
This is you and Bogues.
Steak frites, like I said in the group chat a few days ago.
Steak frites.
Let's do some French restaurants.
10 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast.
Let's find it.
How are we going to make that?
You can find it in New York.
You eat a steak at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, steak and eggs.
What channel is the A10 tourney
That'd be
on?
USA Network.
USA. All right. Yeah. All right.
Are you going to put that in your pipe and smoke it?
No, I'm just trying to. I'm going to watch this game now. I actually have, the crash course has begun or is beginning.
Oh, you're
college basketball.
Doing your scouting.
Something
tells me these two teams are not going to be ones that are going to be high on the list.
We got Cooper Flag at noon. That'll be fun. I'm trying to see, and then I guess I got to dive in the SEC tournament because that'll be the entire 1 through 4 seeds of every bracket.
I know. This is the best time. I think are we just going breakfast double or nothing? Maybe how about treating to lunch? Take everyone out to lunch.
That's even more expensive.
Steak frites.
Steak frites. I just can't imagine eating something that heavy this early.
I can.
I would say you could get your face painted the color of the opposing team, but I don't know what color either of these teams are. What are the Rams? Are they yellow and blue like the LA Rams?
Nope.
It's just what Bogusch wears every single day.
What's GW? Are they
Buff
red,
and
white,
blue.
and blue?
Buff and blue.
Buff and blue.
Buff and blue. It's like a pale yellow.
The hell is buff?
Very fierce. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan. Thank you to the Weedos and the coffee drinkers. You guys were Fantastic callers. See you tomorrow.